now, really. Okay, welcome to the Red Man Group. What are we? Number 33 today, right? We are number 33. Hello, I'm your host, Rollo Tomasi. There's my announcer's voice. Okay, now that that's out of the way. Just gonna do a real casual show today. It's just me, Shannon. It's Shannon Sharp is here. No, Donovan Sharp is here, and that'd be great, wouldn't it? And we're gonna do a football show today. No, and I've got Ryan Stone in today, and boy, have we got a show lined up for you. we have been given a gift this morning. We'll jump right into that. I just wanted to let everybody know that we've got a few announcements just before we get started in here. 21 convention is starting as of Thursday of next week. That is October 11th. I believe we are officially sold out. So we have no more tickets left. It is the largest convention that Anthony has ever done. By anybody's measure, it is a raging success. We have a lot of other events that are going on that's kind of like circling around the convention. It will be in Orlando, Florida. I'm not going to tell you where the event is, but it will be in the Orlando area. If you are going, the announcements, you probably already have the announcements as to where the location is. But we'll be broadcasting live from there. This is going to be the last Red Man Group for this week, because I think we're taking off on Saturday of next week because we have so much going on. However, there's a lot more going on with this channel. So we might not have an official show on Saturday, but we will definitely have an official show on Monday, which is the 15th. And we're going to be doing the Red Man Live. And by live, I mean we're going to have we have a sound studio already set up. We have a special room that's dedicated to nothing but the Red Man Group. We're going to get as many speakers and as many personalities, I guess, panelists. If you've ever been on this show before, you are of course invited to be a part of those panels. We're going to do 3 separate shows on that Monday. Like I said, they're all going to be in a sound stage that we've got set up. We're going to do, it's like a 3-camera setup right now, I believe, and it's going to be amazing. So I mean, it's going to be like a real, like if you're watching these shows like was it Dave Rubin's show, Ladder with Crowder, Joe Rogan, those kinds of things where they're a dedicated show and they're really produced. That's what we're aiming for with this, and I think we're going to do pretty well with that. That said, I don't know what you guys are going to do in the meantime, but I am going to be doing some broadcasting. I might do some periscopes sort of from the road. I'm getting on the plane in Reno on the 8th. Yeah, I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday morning. I'll be getting on the plane. I've got a layover in San Diego, so if you see me in the San Diego airport on that day, come say hi. And then from San Diego, I'm flying directly into Orlando, and so I'll be doing some stuff from the road. I'll be doing some quick hit periscopes. I might be doing stuff either directly to my YouTube channel, which I now have established, or I might just be doing some Periscope stuff. So there's going to be a lot of sort of, I guess, casual or candid videos going on. I don't know if you guys have anything planned for yourself, but I've got that in the works. And so that's going to be. I think this whole trip's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Ryan's did it last year, but Donovan, you haven't done it before, and I think you're going to be in for a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to be flying in on late Friday afternoon. I, of course, I'm scheduled to speak on Sunday, October 14th at 10 o'clock a.m. So, but yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there Friday afternoon. I'll be there all the way through Monday. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. My speech is it's going to be kick-ass. People are going to get a lot out of it. Again, I'm looking forward to it, man. This is going to be something I won't soon forget. And I'm looking forward to doing this, for the foreseeable future. So yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then you're going to meet all these guys. I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I see you every Saturday. I see you all the time. It's interesting to like, you have these kind of like, I'm sitting in the studio, or if I'm on my laptop or something like that, or even on my iPad, it's very, dealing with people on, I think on Twitter, or just in the digital sense.
Yeah, the virtual world, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I've been doing it for so long. I mean, as a writer, I'm kind of like just okay, I sit in my studio and I do what I do. Right? It's very, I think it's very introverted, but a lot of guys, I think, want to make Twitter or this personal branding kind of thing like this huge extroversion, but really you're just sitting over here and you're just you're working in your studio all the time, and then so meeting people face to face it's a whole different animal, man. Because talking and speaking, I've had to as my internet notoriety, if you want to call it that, or my my books become a little bit more popular, as I become more of a sort of an internet personality, it's like I've learned that I have to kind of I have to learn how to like speak, I guess. I mean, how to be a public figure and stuff, because I've never had to do that. I mean, I'm back in the day, I used to play in bands, but I was up there with like 4 or 5 other guys, and I never had to, it's like
playing solo is a whole different thing, man.
There's a wall between you and the audience, but like now there's no wall. So yeah, so so that's something I've actually been studying is public speaking. I never took that when I was in college. I never took public speaking. I probably should have, I guess.
I don't know. You played in a band, so I think that probably.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, well, I was never the front man. But anyways, so we've got that going on with the Red Man group. That's going to be this whole week. If you are following this channel, look for some notifications, check back this whole week because there's going to be a lot of sort of interactive things that we're going to be doing. Again, like I said, I'll probably be doing some periscopes. I know that AJ Cortez does a lot of periscopes too. Like I can't imagine he won't be doing it. I will trip out because I know that AJ is in San Diego, and if I'm on the same plane as him,
oh wow, that'd be crazy.
AJ, if you're watching this, I'm on Southwest. I'm on Southwest flight. I don't know what the number is, but if you see me, come and say hi. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's funny is like last year, I'll tell you this story about last year. I flew from Reno down to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix, Arizona into Orlando. And I was with my wife at that time. She's not coming with me this time, but like last time she was. And I got on the plane, and there was a couple of guys that were in front of us, and we were, we're just kind of relaxing and chilling. And it was actually not all that full of a flight. And once we had landed and we got into Orlando, my wife turns over to me and she says, I guess I should call you Rollo from here on out, right? She just said something casually about like mentioning Rollo, right? And these dudes get up and they turn around and they're looking over the seat, and they must have heard that, right? And so I was like,
I don't know anybody named Rollo.
Like when you're deplaning, how everybody instantly has to stand up and they're like, okay, we're gonna get the fuck out of this plane, and I'm gonna get my overhead and stuff like. So these guys stand up, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, well, they're just doing that because that's what people do, right? And so they turn around and they go, hey man. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, what you guys here for a vacation or something? And I'm like, yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, on that bush.
And Mrs. Tomasi's like, well, yeah, we're going to see family, which we weren't lying. We were going to see family family and friends, because we have family and friends in Orlando. People don't know this. I used to live in Orlando from 2005 till 2013, and so we're like, yeah, of course. And then the guy goes, yeah, we're going to this great convention. It's called the 21 convention. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then, it's like, you got me. And it was interesting because like these guys that didn't even know that I was just like sitting behind him. And then all of a sudden they're like, dude, please sign my book. They're bringing my book out and everything. And suddenly before I'm even off the plane, it's like, I got guys like asking me questions. And that pretty much set the tone for the entire convention for me last year. Was like before I could even get off the plane, I had so many people just coming up to me and they just want to pick my brain. And I was telling Anthony,
you were like a soccer ball at a 6-year-old.
I know. I could not walk.
Seconds.
I could not get into the elevator and get to like, go down to the restaurant or the cafe or something. I couldn't get in the elevator without having people hit me up. I think I spoke more just like walking around the convention than the 2 hours that I did for my 2 talks.
Wow.
So anyways.
The funny thing too on that, sorry, it's a little side thing. So I ran into those guys that you were talking about.
Yeah,
there.
Ron and something. I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, so they're actually really good buddies with one of our flared users on the Married Red Pill, and they were talking about how they were checking out this chick on the airplane. Then they found out it was you.
my wife. I know. Oh gosh, I'm gonna sell out Christian McQueen too. I was funny because were you there when that happened? We were at the we were in the lobby, I think it was, and it was like the first time we were there. And I met up with Goldman and Christian McQueen. You know, I know all these, and then Tanner, of course. You know, I'm hanging out with them, and my wife walks by, and you know, she just kind of like leaves me alone when I'm like talking, you know, with people. She walks by, she's going back up to the room, and Christian's kind of like checks out my wife. She's walking by, and I go, yeah, you should go hit on her, man. Go get it, you know. He's like, and he looks at me like all funny, he goes, "That's your wife?" I go, no, man. Yeah, because we had talked about that.
Yeah, and you guys know at this point, or at least most people know, I'm bringing Devin. So, I mean, listen, man, you can feel free to look at her, gawk at her, you know, whatever the case may be. Well, how will I know? It's Devin? She's going to be the blonde with the huge tits with the word Devin around her neck in the form of a choker. So hopefully she'll take a lot of the attention off me. Nobody wants to look at me.
Quick unofficial picture. That's Mrs. Tomasi right there.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Well, yeah, you guys can So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward. Like I said, man, I think there are so many things I'm looking forward to doing. There are a couple of guys who I'm really, really good friends with on my show. Miami J is one of them, and I'm going to be meeting up with him. Another guy by the name of Pine, who's a keto expert. I'm going to be meeting up with those guys. Rollo, those are the guys that we're going to meet up with. We go out for beers a little bit later on. So I'm looking forward to meeting those guys, and then of course, you know, meeting Rian, meeting, you know, Alan. It's going to be crazy to actually see you guys in the flesh, man. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very weird to sort of transition from, from speaker at the 21 convention to fanboy. I'm going to have to really strike a balance, but all jokes aside, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. So
that's going to be a good show.
Oh,
so anyways, that's what's going on with the 21 convention. Also, I should say we've got a few things we're going to talk about later on in the show. We're going to dedicate this show kind of to what we say, Vichy males, white knights, and purple pill hacks. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit today. And we have been just given this buffet of stories to pick from recently. So we're gonna get into all of that stuff. There's when I get stories that I can't not talk about, we kind of, if we don't talk about them, it almost seems like we're trying to avoid them, and I don't want it to seem like we're trying to avoid certain topics. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. Before we do, let's just go do our quick roundtable. One other thing I want to say is we've started another Red Man group sub on the on Reddit for the Red Man group. Okay, good. So that is now up and available. I'll put the link in the YouTube shit below there.
Well, that means I gotta fix up a sidebar and shit.
Yeah, I know. So,
gotta do that again, right?
Well, we had to do that, and later on I'll explain to you why we're doing that. But we're going to start our own sub for this show, and just kind of
hopefully it doesn't get
just so that we can talk about it. And I always want to have engagement. I always want to have engagement with the people who are watching this, and want to, especially if they got show topics or if they got something that they really want to get off their chest. Then I want to give people the opportunity to do that. I've always been about engagement. So that's that. As far as what's going on in my life right now, the best news that I can tell you is that the Audible book for book 3 is now with Audible for their approval. I'm a little bit nervous about it, to be honest with you, only because of what's been going on with Roosh and what's been going on with Amazon and what's been going on with the Red Pill subreddit. And Yeah, so I'm hoping that all goes well and that we'll get that going again. Sam Botta has been doing the reading once again. He read my first 2 books. He's reading this 3rd book. I get, so a lot of people really either love Sam's voice or they kind of hate Sam's voice because he sort of he has that announcer. He used to be a professional voice talent guy. He was the kind of guy that used to read the intros to like the movie trailers, like back in the day. Like,
in a world gone wrong.
In a world,
exactly.
One man.
Yeah, he used to be a voice. Well, he's always been a voice talent, but he used to be I think a talk show guy back in the day down in Los Angeles on KFI or something like that. It interests me because when you look at like what he did before his accident, I don't know if people know this, but he was involved in a hit and run accident and basically had to teach himself how to talk again. He's got a service dog because there's whatever happened to his brain when he was hit. He can go to sleep and not wake up because he's got some sort of sleep apnea, or he's got some sort of difficulty with sleeping right now. So he has to have a dog that will listen to him breathe when he's sleeping. And so if he starts breathing the wrong way or he stops breathing, the dog goes and wakes him up so that he will, because his automatic nervous system is all fucked up. He could probably tell you better than I can, but I one more time, I wanted to make sure he's doing at least these 3. I probably won't use him for the 4th book simply because I'm thinking about reading the 4th book.
There you go.
So we'll see about it. So anyways, that's the good news. 3rd book is going to be out for Audible. Again, the Polish version of The Rational Male is now up and for sale if you speak Polish. And the other good news, of course, Anthony has decided that we're going to do a 21 convention in Europe in Warsaw, Poland, in 2019. It will probably be sometime around the beginning of June, maybe the middle of June, somewhere around there. So keep an eye out for that in the coming year. So we're going to be doing that in Poland, which I'm kind of excited because I had no idea that I have a fan base, a really big fan base in Poland. And I guess when you think about it, Poland's very, I don't know, are they a very conservative country? I guess you would call them a conservative country, right?
What, Poland?
Yeah.
Poland, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Poland's they don't want any immigrants in Poland. They're very, and I guess considering, their history, I can understand why. But for whatever reason, there's a very large red pill community in Poland. And I think that's great. So going out there, I think, it's funny, is like you can't, like Roosh is banned from the UK. I don't know where else he's banned from, probably like Australia and certainly Canada by now. I mean, there are literally countries that we cannot go to because they just simply don't want to hear what we have to say. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more today here when we talk about Stony Brook and Michael Kimmel and all that other shit that's going on with them. But I mean, seriously, we bring a message, we bring a truth that people just, particularly, governments that are run by feminists don't want us to come in and speak. I've never been a free speech advocate. I guess I have been in a way, because I'm interested in a marketplace of ideas. I'm certainly interested in open discourse, obviously. But I want to make sure that, everybody can say their piece. I mean, that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to open up the phone lines for this one, because I'm sure this is going to be, when we get deep into it here in a minute here, I want to give people a chance to say whatever the fuck they want to say. But I mean, when a whole country won't let you go into their country, I mean, I think it was Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux were in Australia not too long ago, and I don't think they're able to go back in. And I think was it Lauren Southern and some other little tradcon chick can't go to the UK anymore. And I think, wow, we must really have some kind of message that that people simply either find really dangerous or simply people really want to talk about. But
well,
I think that Poland is the only place we could be actually doing this.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's interesting that you bring that up. And when it comes to this type of people banning each other, I actually give like a sports reference to this. A while back, the Yankees were playing the Red Sox, and Alex Rodriguez was up in the box, and whoever was on the mound, threw the pitch up and in. And A-Rod, of course, takes exception. He's like, yo, what the fuck? Da, 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 da. And Jason Varitek, who was behind the plate at the time, says to A-Rod, look, dude, we're not going to throw at guys who are hitting 240, right? A-Rod gets upset. There's a fight. So basically, listen, man, like the crowd doesn't boo you if you suck on the field, right? Derek Jeter gets booed. Tom Brady gets booed. Of course, they're booing him because he's great. They're not banning us from these countries because we're spreading lies. They're banning us from countries because we're spreading the truth.
Exactly. I tell guys this all the time. I said, if game didn't work, nobody would care about it.
There you go.
If it wasn't something that had some validity to it, if the red pill wasn't something that had any validity to it, people would blow it off. They're just like, yeah, forget it. Who cares? And then suddenly we get up to 300,000 subscribers on the Red Pill Reddit, and we're quarantined.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, getting back to my, we're going to get stuck in here. Obviously I'm working frantically on my speech. I'm kind of glad that I waited up until like the last couple of weeks here to really get deep into my talk, because I'm going to be doing a sort of a state of the manosphere address, at the, request of, Anthony. Probably wouldn't be a topic that I would have covered had he not asked me to do it, but I'm glad he did, because in light of recent events, particularly with the political climate and the Me Too things that are going on around the Kavanaugh confirmation, and really, the quarantines and the Roosh getting, banned, and there's a lot of stuff. I'm kind of glad that I waited almost till the last minute here, because so much has been going on. And I think the closer we get to the election right now, or the midterm elections, the hot and heavier it's going to get. So I'm working on my PowerPoint presentation, and I'm not a PowerPoint guy. I've always been sort of the cue card guy, because I believe in, Steve Jobs said it best, is like, Steve Jobs said, if you don't know your PowerPoint is for people who don't know their shit already. So I'm like, well, okay, but I got to have some sort of like visual representations here. So I'm working on stuff like that. And, so that's really kind of where I'm at right now. And then I'm really looking forward to jumping on that plane and meeting people. And so I'm kind of on build up right now. I got a lot of loose ends I have to tie up for my real work here before I go. And that's one thing I don't think a lot of people realize, is like when I go do something like this, or I go on vacation, I have to like work like 2 weeks in advance, so that I'm not having to clean up a big mess when I get back. So I'm trying to take care of that. And then on top of everything else, a lot of people don't know this. I own a property also in Florida. So once I get there, I've got to go. Maybe you guys can help me with this. I have to go buy a used car when I'm in Florida. I thought maybe I could get like 4 or 5 guys from the convention to come with me, and we'll go buy a used car from like a dealership or something like that. Cause I gotta have a beater. I gotta have some kind of car when I'm there in Florida. Cause I'm out in Florida probably about 2 or 3 times a year. And that's going to increase certainly in the coming year. So that's where I'm at.
We can do some landscaping, and
there you go.
Yeah.
How could that be?
Fix the plumbing. Sure.
All right. So Ryan, what do you have going, as if I don't know?
All right. Well, the big thing is that quarantine. The speech part is just practicing through it to get it right. Do you want me to go on to it now, or should I save it for after the intros?
No, go ahead. Whatever. That's fine. We're fast and loose today. It's just the 3 of us until somebody decides they want to chime in.
For those that don't know the story, Reddit came out of the blue and quarantined a bunch of subs, which they've done before, usually as a prelude to banning them completely. So what the quarantine does is, if you don't specifically opt in, it doesn't let you view anything, and it disappears from your posting history. And I guess, and this is something I've heard, so take it with a grain of salt, that somebody on the actual Reddit admin team thought they were clever by pointing to a positive masculinity link from Stony Brook University. I guess their legal team was not happy about that for a bunch of different reasons. But the part that matters for us is how hilarious it is that he's had multiple sexual harassment allegations put up against him. So positive masculinity means getting him, which is funny enough. But then if you want to take it a level deeper, you look at what this guy's been doing, and his sexual allegations are hilarious.
Oh man, wait, save that part. Save that part. We're coming back to that.
All right, so I'll get into that one later. All right. But beyond that, it's just making sure the speech is good. I gave Carl a blast because he was kind of following the exact same topics on a series of tweets there, but it's going to be good. And I got everybody talking about what they're wearing for the thing. So, well, something I noticed from last year, we got everybody in a giant group, and there was a lot of olive and tan and navy blue. And I'm hoping we can step it up for Tanner's sake this year.
Everybody gave me so much shit for wearing white shoes last year. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm bringing white shoes.
There you go.
Botta, isn't that like?
It's a symbol of virility in Latin cultures, I think.
Excellent. Hola.
I didn't know that.
All right, that's it for me.
All right, what I've got going on is actually had a really good week on TSR Live. You guys, of course, can watch that weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. I'll put my channel in the chat here shortly. But this week, really good week. I talked about how to handle getting caught cheating, and really the way to handle getting caught cheating. And we're not talking about deny. No, this is when she catches you with your dick in another chick, hand in the cookie jar, she knows you're cheating, et cetera, et cetera. Where a lot of guys go wrong is they try to proactively get their woman's forgiveness. And it's weird because this is where they go wrong. Now, I didn't address how to handle your wife when you get caught cheating because I don't have experience with that. But one thing that you really need to understand without getting too much into it, you guys can go and check that out on donovansharp.com or patreon.com/donovansharp, is that so long as you remain who you are, then she is more than likely to forgive you. So that was a very good episode. A lot of good information there. I talked about how to survive your first year as a red pill aware male. A lot of guys, they find the red pill. They're inundated with all of this information, and they're excited. They're pissed off. You go through all the stages of finding the red pill. Well, a lot of guys get sidetracked because the red pill can appear to be very convoluted. There's no real governing body, nor should there be. So, I gave you tips and tricks of the trade, what to do, what not to do in your first year of red pill awareness. I gave you websites, books, publications, things to bookmark, et cetera, et cetera. So you definitely want to go check that out. Did a little bit of game, talked about 8 of the biggest reasons why she ghosts on you after the first date. So you definitely want to check that out. And then, of course, yesterday I talked about sexual market value versus relationship market value. And again, a lot of men, red pill aware or otherwise, the male mind is literally stupefied by female beauty. This isn't a bad thing because this is what female beauty is supposed to do. We're supposed to want to procreate with the best specimens of female, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, the red pill teaches us to sort of not really put those things aside, but understand how to act in the presence of a beautiful woman, what to and what not to do. And the male mind tells us that if she is beautiful on the outside, then she must be like high sexual market value. For a lot of men, subconsciously means high relationship market value. You can go to Twitter, Instagram, any Instagram model, she puts up an ass picture or cleavage or whatever, and you see endless comments of guys saying, "Oh, that's wifey material," or "Will you marry me?" And, I'm thinking to myself, okay, she looks good, but just because you want to fuck her doesn't mean you should want to marry her. Doesn't mean that you should want her to be your main chick or your significant other. So I distinguish the difference between sexual market value and relationship market value. And I'll get a little bit into it right now. What you're going to have to understand is that we all want the hot wife. We all want the hot girlfriend. But if you really are looking for a long-term girlfriend, you are going to have to sacrifice a little bit in the way of looks. 8s, 9s, and 10s, gentlemen, they're community property. They belong to the game. 8s, 9s, and 10s typically do not make very good wives and mothers because of the culture that we live in. Listen, I'll give you an example. Devin, right? Devin is a 7. All right. And I'm not going to say, oh, Devin's a 9. No, Devin's not a 9 or 10. She is a 7. She's probably, I don't know, she's probably a 6, maybe a 6.5 in the face, 7 if she, with makeup and her hair done. Now, her body, on the other hand, is probably a solid 8.5, 9 if she's wearing the right things, as you guys can see here. But If Devin were an 8 or an 8.5, then there's no way that she would make as good a significant other as she is now. Now, of course, that all comes from training. This all comes from me. She does what she's told, et cetera, et cetera. And if she were an 8 or possibly a 9, I could probably tame her for a little bit, but eventually she would go feral. So again, if you're looking for that significant other, if you're looking for a good wife and mother, it's going to be next to impossible. But if you think for 1 second that an 8, a 9, or a 10 is going to be a good main chick, a good wife, a good girlfriend, you got another thing coming. If you're really looking for something like that, you're going to have to sacrifice sexual market value for relationship market value. So that's how my week was.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I've got a post called sexual market value and attachment ratios. I think what it is
right.
And like if there's like I do it, men versus women and women versus men. It's like in the most healthy relationships, if the guy is one step above his woman, those are where you're going to have the most healthiest attachments, where the woman is looking up to you. Like I just, my last post was on wasn't really looks, but it was sort of body language, and how if you look at like some of these images of women and they're in these couples shots, how the woman is always looking off somewhere, or she's, she wants to have anything to do with anything else except for the guy that's supposed to be her significant other in the picture. And you see all of these shots where the woman's like this and holding him back. It seems like, oh, it's affection. It's not. It's always like she's like, this kind of stuff. And when I look at those, I go, okay, what's the sexual market value ratio between these couples, right? And a lot of people always say this is like, they say, well, what are you saying, Rollo? Does that mean that I have to settle for a woman who is less than I am for sexual market value? I gotta get an ugly chick? No, you don't. But you have to at least have the recognition from your woman that you are at least one step above her in sexual market value. How you do that is up to you. If that means you got to go to the gym more and you got to work out and you got to be one step above her, that's what you got to do. If it means you want to make some more money and you got to, you want to try to work it out that way, that's what you're going to have to do. But if you want a healthy relationship, relationships are built on two things. Polarity is the first and the most important one. And then second of all is you have to be at least one step above her in sexual market value, or she has to perceive that you are one step above her. And I think a lot of guys, they go in their relationships, they'll get from, they'll marry their woman and they'll go, oh gosh, she's so beautiful. She's, they'll self-deprecate. They'll go, oh man, I don't know why she would ever go with a schlub like me.
Jesus Christ.
And they'll beat themselves up.
Oh no, I know exactly why.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And then so what happens though is that these guys get into those relationships and they think that it's egalitarian, and they think that they can't believe their luck. Right? They can't believe that this 10, she's a total 10.
Oh, I'm so lucky. I'm punching above my weight.
These Christian guys, they always say, my bride is a full 10.
Dude.
It's like,
my God.
Dude,
I hate when you do that.
I know, exactly. Stop,
I met my bride.
But so what happens then is then they get to be like mid-30s, and then they realize that they're hitting their own sexual market value peak, and they realize that their wives or their brides, their sexual market value has decayed. And so suddenly that where they were like here and she was like here, now slowly when they get to be about 36, they're maybe a step above, and they don't know what to do with that. And so they either like have to bust themselves down, or they think that they're doing their wives a favor by saying, don't worry, like constantly, allaying her fears and everything like that. I think a lot of guys don't realize that their sexual market value will go up at some point and the ratio will switch itself. And the problem that most guys run into is that they feel like they have to keep busting themselves down. They have to deprecate, and that the self-deprecation doesn't help anybody. All right.
So let's go to the phone lines real quick. We got a guy.
We got a super chat too. So Ryan, did you want to read out that super chat real quick?
Yes. Oh geez, I fucking lost it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this guy Bo is asking, what do you do when you're being disrespected on a date? I've been kind of talking with him in the chat here too. This chick was on his first date with him, just starts talking about all the bisexual activity she does, all the dudes she sleeps with, hitting on people in front of him. He goes, what do? So the gist of mine was just get up, put your money for your bill, side of the bill, and just walk out. Don't say anything. Don't engage.
Next. Hard next.
Yeah. See you
Yeah,
later.
but that's the thing. A lot of guys think they need to teach her a lesson and say something.
Right.
Don't.
No.
You're not gonna. She's not gonna learn anything.
Here's the thing. The reason, and it's
Oh,
not.
I'm supposed to take a sip every time you say listen. Somebody said I got a drinking game. I got to start.
Yeah. Listen, I say listen a lot. That's a verbal tick of mine. And if you listen very closely, you'll see that I'm really not interested in correcting that verbal tick because I want people to listen. but here's the thing. Women will test you. I've dated women who try to talk about their sexual past with me, but they don't wait. Most of them wait until and they don't consciously do this, but a woman rarely talks about her sexual past on the first date. But she is going to test you at some point down the line. And it's not like she consciously tests you. And again, we have to understand that women have this inverse projection in that they think the things that attract them to us are going to attract us to them. So if you are pre-selected, if she checks your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed and she sees you with a bunch of girls, she is going to then in turn think, okay, well, I need to talk about all of this lesbian action I've been getting involved in. I need to talk about all the guys that I fucked. And at that point, you need to check her. But if she does it on the first date, there is no lesson to be taught. You teach her that lesson, a week or two down the line. Oh yeah, there's this guy that I slept with. Whoa. Hold on, real quick. I'm not interested in the guys that you slept with. If you want to talk about that, go talk about it with your homegirls. You're not going to talk about that here. Do you understand? You look her right in the eye. And if she gives you oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. You don't say a goddamn thing, right? And at that point, she's got one of two choices. She can either get the hell out of whatever it is that you guys have, or she can heed your warning. I don't want to hear about your lesbian action. I don't want to hear about your sexual past. This is a turnoff. And sometimes you have to tell sometimes you tell her, hey, thanks for the medical report. I think that's a racy favorite. Mm-hmm. Or and this is a shit test as well. Well, this guy slept with and that guy slept with, blah, 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 blah. Just tell her straight up, don't talk about that stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't mind it if you talk. Listen, I told you not to talk about it. I'm not putting a gun to your head, but you have a choice. You can either talk about that by yourself, or you can not talk about it with me. Shut that shit down, man. That's the only answer there.
Right. All right, we have a caller. You said you wanted to get somebody. All right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get the area code 778. I appreciate you holding, man. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Yeah, g'day, legends. This is Josh here. How are you?
What's up, brother?
Good to speak to you. All right. First off, I want to thank you so much for the epic work you guys put out there. Follow you for a while.
Thank you.
In Canada, bit of a different environment over here than back home. But yeah, boys. So I really want to can I feed off that last topic that you were talking about? Like for me, that's popped up. I'm in a relationship at the moment, and that's popped up, and I haven't said anything because I've been like, it's for me. I'm like, it's a bit better to be like, I don't want you to talk about, your previous sexual experiences. Like, could you riff on that a little bit? Like, how is that not being a bit of a bitch?
Well, it is, but it's also a shit test. But again, a lot of times women shit test subconsciously. They don't do it consciously. Do us a favor. Give us an example of how she brings it up. Give us an example of when this happened. So how does she bring this up?
That hasn't happened for me for a while. Like it was more
sober?
Fucking, and we were both fucking other people. So
damn, all right.
Like it would just be, I guess we were both openly talking about sex, which was before I read the 9 Iron Rules, and I was like, damn, shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, more in that time period, like since we're not just like fuck buddies, it hasn't happened so much. But I was just curious.
Yeah, I think when girls start to talk about other guys that they have slept with, just shut it down. Well, I used to date this guy. Whoa, wait a minute. Don't want to hear about that. And just leave it at that.
Okay.
That's all you have to. You don't have to explain anything.
One of the things you need to understand is that when a woman does something like this, I always kind of lean back to the medium is the message. Why is she doing that? Why does she feel like she has to say something like that? Why does she? Well, what is the sort of the latent purpose of that? And it's like, yeah, I mean, why does a woman say? Why does she feel like it's necessary to even bring that up? And a lot of times when this is just me talking here, a lot of times when women do this, it is an indication of her being an alpha widow. Okay, so when a woman starts saying, well, my old boyfriend XYZ, or I was so crazy when I was in my college years, right? Usually when I hear those kinds of terms, or when when a woman starts talking about like her, her sexual past, it's almost as if she's looking for sort of absolution from it. Like she's looking for I had all these past indiscretions when I was on the cock carousel, or I had all these, back in my party years, I was so different. Well, it's all, you got to understand, like, okay, how old is the girl you're talking about?
I'm 25. She's 25.
She's 25. Okay, so she's not quite up to the epiphany phase just yet.
Get there quick.
Yeah, but well, I'm just going to say, it's usually the epiphany phase really starts right around 27, 28 sometimes. Certainly she's already into it by 29 to 31. But sometimes women will start, thinking, I kind of think it depends on what that woman's attractiveness is, and really like how kind of self-conscious she is about things. 25, 26 years old, she might still be in her party years, but she's starting to realize that the party years aren't going to last forever. So sometimes there's this need for absolution. And what I mean by that is, like, it's almost like she's confessing her sins, like she has to do that before she can feel better about, creating rules for you, or she can feel better about having, like, it sounds to me like she sees you as at least somewhat alpha. But I think that when they start talking about, past sexual experiences, I think really it's so that, maybe it's so what she's all about, or maybe what her, women don't really have introspection very often. Okay, it takes something very significant to inspire and incentivize a woman to insight and introspection. And so sometimes when a woman is talking about her sexual past, a lot of this is almost like an attempt at introspection, because she feels like she has to around you. And I think the question you need to ask yourself, if you are in this position, is why does she feel like she has to do that? The medium is the message. Always remember that, because that's a behavior. Even when a woman talks about something, even when she's bullshitting about something, that's still a behavior. And you have to understand, why is that behavior happening, and what is she trying to resolve with that behavior?
And I'll end this one off on, keep it simple.
Yes.
Like, yes, all that stuff is right. So let's put it this way. It's going to be almost impossible to find a good-looking girl at this point who doesn't have a couple miles in her. That's fine.
A couple.
Boundaries are the key here. Well, no, it's boundaries. Like you said before, if I heard you right, it was, I don't want you to talk about that. What I would suggest as a better way of phrasing it is, I don't want to hear that shit. Do you understand? Do you see the difference there? Mm-hmm. One is telling her what you want her to do, a control thing. And I have not known a girl yet that you tell what to do and they won't do the opposite just for the sake of it. The other one is just what you are and what you're not going to put up with. And at that point, you just give her enough rope to hang herself with. And it's just standard boundary enforcement. Look, babe, I don't want to hear about that shit. And she'll drop it. And if she doesn't drop it, like I said, you've only got 3 tools. You've got your affection, your commitment, and your comfort. And you don't have a stick, so you just remove the carrot. And I just say keep that simple. And if it's the kind of thing that she just needs a one and done, and she learns how you would like her to act around you, and she respects you enough to do that, that's fine. And if not, well, like Rollo says, medium is the message. She's testing your boundaries, and so you got to enforce them.
That's another thing that I think guys don't really get. When I wrote medium is the message, they kind of just applied that to women's behaviors and actions, and they wanted to read what that woman was telling them by their behaviors, but it also applies to men. So when you are trying to send a message, remember that your behavior also sends a message, and your medium is also a message. And one of the things I always tell guys is, when they're trying to establish boundaries, or they're trying to say, because constantly get this, it's important to set boundaries, and you got to be tough, and and it's like, okay, that's fine, great, but don't turn that into an ultimatum, because ultimatums are just declarations of powerlessness. Demonstrate, do not explicate. And I think too many guys, when they're trying to set boundaries with a woman in a relationship, they want to go, okay, well, this is appropriate and this is not, and they revert back to this egalitarian bullshit that they've learned from the blue pill. And it's like, well, open communication is the key to a good, healthy relationship. Bullshit. You need to be able to demonstrate it. So when a woman does something, you don't go, hey, I don't like that, and stop doing that. You go, you make it clear by your behaviors that that's not appropriate. And so you're going to send a much stronger message if you can demonstrate boundaries rather than explaining boundaries to them. It's like, well, what do they have to be a mind reader? Yes, and you have to be a mind reader too, constantly. And people say, well, I don't want to play that game. I want to put everything on the table and reason it out with her. Yeah. How's that working out for you?
Reasonable.
How is when you appeal to reason with a woman, you're never going to make as significant an impact as you will with your own behavior and demonstrating what those boundaries are, as opposed to saying, "Oh, here's the boundaries."
I don't get it. I told her what my pet peeves were, and she pokes me with them every time she wants me mad. I don't get it.
Exactly. And then it's okay. I'm going to go out on a girls' night out. Okay, great. And you're not there when she comes back. That's a pretty good demonstration of what your boundaries are for, what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. So remember that your medium is also a message to her.
And you're a 25-year-old Australian. I guarantee you'll be pulling Mad Tail in Canada. They love that accent here.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you worried about?
If you don't sound like if you have an accent from any country and you're in another country, yeah, you're gonna pull ass.
Well, and then the other thing is, you're 25 years old. What are you doing in a long-term relationship in the beginning?
We got a couple more callers if you guys.
All right. Well, let me before we get to this college, I kind of want to at least turn us towards what we're supposed to talk about today. We will take some calls here. If you want to do it off topic, that's fine. Again, we're playing it fast and loose. I just wanted to sort of dig in a little bit, especially with the Stony Brook thing and what's going on. A lot of people have been hitting me up and saying, when are you going to talk about Roosh? When are you going to talk about what's going on with him? We're sort of, I'm still kind of waiting to see how the cards all fall out with Roosh right now. More importantly, what's going on with the Red Pill subreddit right now, and it being quarantined.
Yeah, we're not ignoring this stuff.
We're not ignoring this stuff. Trust me. We know. I'm more sensitive, I think, than most when it comes to understanding that just by us not talking about it, again, that sends a message. A medium's a message, right? Just by us not saying anything. Trust me, we're aware of this, and we're discussing this amongst ourselves. However, I'd also understand that we are, we serve at the pleasure of YouTube right now, and so we have to. We have to understand what the climate is like, because I'm always about the message. I'm always about putting out, getting red pill truths and unplugging guys as much as I possibly can. And I don't want to risk that by, pissing off the wrong people. But I will say this is that one of the things that I saw going on with Roosh's situation and his books being banned, I'm of the opinion that his books weren't banned. He was banned himself. Because if you read his books, they're not anything more controversial than, say, 50 Shades of Grey. They're not any more controversial. I mean, what was I saying? There's we were talking about Bigfoot porn last week, right? It's like if they're going to publish, Come For Me Bigfoot, and they're going to not publish Roosh's new book on game, that tells you that it's not the content in that book, it's the person itself. It's like the same thing they did with Alex Jones. They didn't ban what he was saying. They banned Alex Jones because they don't like that guy. And I was also going to say is that back in August, Create Space, which is the book creating, for self-publishing, that's the go-to one. It's the one I use for my books. I think other people do too. There's other ones like Lulu is out there as well, but Create Space was the biggest one. And I've been using them since like 2013 for my books. Create Space just got bought out by Kindle. And that means Amazon now owns Create Space. And so what I think happened was when Roosh decided that he was going to publish game, I don't know for sure, but I think he uses Create Space. And so when they got bought out, all of the people that do their review process got switched from whoever was doing it at Create Space to whoever's doing it at Amazon right now. And I'll guarantee you that the people in Amazon are all these fuchsia-haired, black lipstick, Trigglypuff, feminists that it's Roosh, we can finally fuck him, And so, Roosh is what I call an outrage broker. Okay, he lives on the notoriety of his outrage. He lives on the revenue that he pulls in from being Roosh. I mean, that's his thing. It's like that's how he makes a living. He's just Roosh. Same thing for a lot of other guys like Mike Cernovich. Mike Cernovich makes money off of being Mike Cernovich. Okay. I'm not saying that these guys are Vichy males or white knights or anything like that. I'm just saying you got to understand that this, we've kind of, I'm not going to make any friends by saying this particularly, but we've entered a stage right now where personal branding is a big deal. You want to be an entrepreneur today. Well, they've got like seminars right now where you can go in and learn how to get rich quick online, and they'll sell you this template blog for whatever they're charging you for the seminar, and you go in there and you spend a weekend at the seminar and you learn how to whatever the politics of personal branding are, and you build yourself up as a life coach, or you build yourself up as some sort of authority on something. And I think most people, particularly in the red pill arena, like to do the life coach thing. They like to do they like to help people. I'm not saying that the desire isn't there. It's certainly there. But what happens is you can't get anywhere unless you build up your own notoriety and you build yourself up as an e-celebrity. And so it's like we're getting to a point right now where outrage is the only way to generate that hype or that buzz.
Well,
right?
it's the easiest way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's the best way.
Yeah. Well, so you got guys like Owen from RSD. You've got Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has been out there for a while, but he's built. In the age of technology right now, people are interested in building their own personal brand. Everybody is their own personal brand, right? Even Rollo Tomasi is his own personal brand. Okay, I get that. But I was writing books long before I started, showing my face and doing stuff like this and being a little bit more out there. So could you say that I'm an outrage broker? No, because I don't go for outrage. I guess what I write about is going to outrage some people, and what I talk about on Twitter is going to outrage some people, but I'm not out there trying to stoke that, because right now we live in a society where SJWs are very predictable. If you follow Vox Day, if you follow Milo, if you follow these guys, and even Roosh, one of the reasons Roosh had the Battle of Montreal is because he knew that if he went in there and he just was Roosh in Montreal, people are going to come out of the woodwork and throw shit at him. And that's what he was hoping for. And that's what built that notoriety up. Milo, same thing. Milo wants to go and give a speech in Berkeley, right? He never has to give the speech because it'll get banned and it'll get canceled before he even gets on the plane to go out to fly out to Berkeley to do that. But in the meantime, he's generating all of this hype about himself. And, Berkeley is on fire, and they're smashing police cars, and there's, $500,000 in damages going on just because Milo said, hey, I think I want to go give a talk in Berkeley. No, you're not interested in giving a talk in Berkeley. You're interested in the notoriety that comes from you going and saying you're going to do that in Berkeley. If you wanted to give a talk, you can give it anywhere. That's one of the great things about the 21 convention is like we keep it secret. We keep that location is secret. We keep it in a big public place. Arguably, Orlando is a hub. Okay, Las Vegas is a hub. When we did the Man in Demand conference, we weren't interested in like generating as much hype as we possibly can and maybe getting it canceled because because purple-haired feminists were out there throwing shit, right? Well, we weren't interested in that. We were interested in the message. We were interested in getting something of substance out to people. We're not interested in creating this really a dangerous situation in some senses where, life and property can get damaged. So when I'm talking about and that's the other thing, I'm really maybe you guys can help me out this. I'm still kind of confused as to why Roosh would take down Return of Kings. And maybe you guys want to comment on that.
Yeah. Did you guys ever read that Ryan Holiday book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, honestly, it's ever since reading that, every time I see stuff like this, I can't help but think like it's a calculated move. For all I know, it could have just been, whoever is hosting the website up their prices. They do that on occasion if they think they got you, and maybe shut it down. It builds up a nice little buzz. We're actually talking about him, and he's got a book tour coming up. So it's not like it's killing him. He's doing all right, and he'll continue to do all right.
Yeah, well, because he is Roosh. That's why he's going to make money off of being Roosh.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I've actually got the article up now. He says it right here in the article. He's burned out. Like one of the factors is that he's burned out. He talked about editing all of the articles on Return of Kings is his least favorite activity. He also talked about the fact he kept it real. He says, listen, man, the site revenues are too low. We've been banned from PayPal and countless ad partners, which forced me to lay off the site editor last year and also lower payments to regular contributors. This started a negative spiral of declining content quality and traffic and site traffic and revenues. Even the beloved comments section, which many see as the highlight of ROK, which was badly hit when Discuss banned us. So back when I was writing for Returning Kings on the regular, those are the glory days, man. Like I would say between 2013 and maybe 2015, it was maybe 15, 20 of us. And dude, we all put out high quality shit on the regular. Every article that came out it was solid gold. Justin Campbell, I think, or Justin Togias says that's where I started my career. Yeah, like this is where I became Donovan Sharp. So I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know what Roosh is thinking, but I tend to side with Rian on this one, at least partially, in that I think the guy just wants to take a break. And it's probably, I'll tell you what, though, when Return of Kings does return, it's going to generate even more buzz. And, a stroke of brilliance in this particular time is that feminists and social justice warriors are claiming victory. Oh, we shut down Return of Kings. No, he said he's going on a hiatus, right? Like this means he is going to be back. Return of Kings is, it's Roosh's imprint on the manosphere, at least one of his imprints on the manosphere. He's not taking the site down. If he wanted to take the site down, then he would have taken it down. That's just all.
He's going to focus on neo-masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is like, and that's one thing. It's like, where's neo-masculinity? I can remember like in 2015.
Okay, this guy. Hold on, real quick. We got a fake Rollo Tomasi in here. Rollo,
is that what that is?
Yeah, that's it. I'm out. I'm hiding this fake Rollo Tomasi on the channel.
Yeah, somebody's fronting me.
I thought you were being edgy at first. I'm like, look at him.
He called Modern Life Dating. He called Modern Life Dating a cuck, and I was like, yeah, that's a fake account.
I was gonna say, if you're looking at me in the chat, I'm not Rollo Tomasi in the chat. No, I am the Red Man Group in the chat.
But I think Return of Kings is going to be back. Maybe that's just me being optimistic because that's where I got my start. But I don't think Roosh is going anywhere. I think he's going to have to make some changes. But he was honest. Listen, man, the site's not making enough money. Being banned by PayPal and Discuss cost him to have to lay off writers. The content quality, in his own words, has gone down a little bit. And listen, man, sometimes you just need to take a break. I mean, dude, I'm on the air 9 times a week. And that's in 6 days. I'm on the air for 2 hours on Monday, 6 hours on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, another 2 hours on Friday, and 2 hours on Saturday. That burns me out. Roosh is busy all the time. And say what you will about Roosh, but he works hard. Sometimes you just need to take a little bit of a respite. Sometimes.
I'll tell you, it's my main line is being a writer. I'm a writer before I'm anything else, right. And I posted this on my 50th birthday post on the Rational Mail, is that I'm sort of struggling between being Rollo Tomasi and being the writer of the Rational Mail. And half of that is like putting myself out there and, sort of being the guy that, I guess like last year when I was at the 21 convention, I'm talking to guys, I'm engaging with guys. I'm not going to say I don't enjoy that. I do, because it's like this firsthand thing. I do some counseling for guys, I very limited. I think I've got 3 guys right now that I do regular counseling with. I'm very, I have to watch out for that. I have to watch out for my own job. I mean, I also have a regular day job that I do work too. So, I understand if he wants to get back to writing, I completely understand that you have to sort of really give yourself a diet of social media. It's real easy to get trapped up in your own hype. It's real easy to just spend an entire day on Twitter and just bullshit on Twitter all day. Whereas you could be, actually doing some real work on a book. You could be doing some real work on something else rather than just shit posting on Twitter all the time. And, that's something that you have to watch out for. Hey, we got George.
There he is.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Bruno?
And George, you're actually out my way. You're in Philly, no?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually down in Florida now, just south of Orlando.
Oh,
right on.
Shit. All right, good.
Are you there for the week?
Yeah, my dad just had major surgery, so I'm caretaker for him, which is, I just did a live Instagram broadcast on caring for someone like they cared for you at one point, And it's hold on, let me just put in my headset, that way I can speak a little more intelligently here. All right.
I like that very intelligent speech and that Saving Private Ryan camera angle. I love it.
Exactly. All right, there we go. That's better. Yeah. The issue is, as I was saying, was when you're caring for your mid-80s parent, like they're an infant. You're caring for someone when you're like wiping their ass and cleaning their private parts. They're embarrassed to have you do that. You know what I mean? And the main job is actually harder than the actual act of personal care, is helping the recipient maintain their dignity, because he's a very tough man, a Marine, and now his oldest son, who's almost 60, is wiping his ass and cleaning his private parts. So, and it's strangely humbling for both people. I can't explain it. I've never had to do this before, so I don't mean to be a buzzkill. But it's interesting. So I'm here for a week before I spend a week at the convention. So that's what's happening here.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your dad there, man. I understand what you're saying. My dad passed away back in 2011, and I had to do something very similar to that. He passed away from Alzheimer's and dementia. And especially when you're dealing with a guy that you have, all my life, my dad has been a hard ass. And all my life, my dad had been very sort of, one of these intellectual kind of guys. He was very confused when it came to like game and red pill awareness and all that stuff. And that's a whole nother topic. But watching your dad sort of mentally decay from being like a regular functioning human being to like being somebody who is just like, staring off into space. Yeah. I got a couple of posts about that. One of them's called End of Life Experiences. And then I got another one too, where I went into that, but you're going to get old and you're going to die. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah, you guys had it for a nice age. Mine died when I was 18. It was just all of a sudden one day. I only got to see him like once a year, and he had an oxygen tank and emphysema. So I didn't get that slow decline. It was like, here you go. You got your month. Enjoy it now.
Yeah.
Let's get to these callers here.
Yeah, let's get some calls. I still want to swing us back around to what we're going to talk about today too. So,
I've got 2 sets of things lined up. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Hey, George, can I get you to mute your mic when you're not talking, because you got a lot of wind going there?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Area code 718, you're on the line with the Red Man Group. Go ahead. Yes. Area code 718, are you with us? You're live.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello?
Yes,
Go ahead.
All right. Thanks for taking my call. I've been watching you guys for a few months now, and I really love the content. So, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself really quick. My name is James, 29. I live out in Oregon right now. And I'm what you called a relationship virgin. So not like just a regular virgin, just with relationships.
So you've had sex,
I've been able to sleep with tons of women, albeit, mostly on the bigger side. But I slept with a few like 8s and 9s here and there. But sometimes I'll get slack from some people when I tell them I've never been in a relationship before. But, growing up, that kind of like bothered me, because I was like, well, maybe I should be in a relationship. But like just over the past few years, and just especially over the past like 9 years, so pretty much my whole 20s,
how old are you?
I've just been more confident.
How old are you?
And I'm 29.
Yeah.
I'm 29.
Yeah, right.
Oh, dude, here. I had not had a girl in my life longer than 30 days until I hit 30.
There you go. Yeah,
don't even worry about it. It's anybody poking fun. I know it bugs you. That's why you mention it. Just say you haven't met the right girl yet. People love that kind of lame excuse. Because then it makes you sound like, oh, that poor little guy. Then go hoe it up at the club.
And it's like, yeah. And it's like, nowadays I look at it as, you know what?
who really gives a fuck? I'm not even at my like peak market value or marketplace yet, you know, and just watching those videos, it's really watching your guys' videos and just videos online. It's made me think more about like, well, you know, is it really that bad? I don't really see it that bad. And I've never been that type of person who's like, well, you know, I'm just going to be with this person just to say, oh, I'm in a relationship. It's like, well, if I either like you or I don't. And
big question is, though, why are they getting you riled up? Like if it doesn't bother you, I mean, it clearly bothers you, and you're saying it shouldn't, but it is. Do you know why?
I don't know. Like sometimes I kind of think about, I kind of go back and forth with it. So
you want to get an attaboy? They're like, oh, good for you, slaying it. Good job, man.
Yeah, like you know, I go back and forth with it, but like, which is why I called, because you know, I really like you guys' content, and I wanted your advice. Like, does it really matter? And you said it doesn't, and you know, I'll roll with that.
Yeah, but the fact that I had to say it shouldn't matter, or Donovan had to say it, or Rollo had to say it, just like you're doing your thing. I guess I know it's really easy just to say don't let it bother you, and there's really no other way to explain it but that. And I don't know how to get from here where it kind of does to where it really doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need my permission. You don't need permission. Yeah, I mean the other thing is that you're 29 years old, man. You haven't even hit your stride yet as far as sexual market value. You're gonna be
Oregon.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna be in such a position here, and I would say between 4 or 5 years, that your sexual selectivity, it's like, you know, don't worry about it. You think that's I hate
down
this
with that granola from Oregon,
because what he's talking about is really kind of residue of the blue pill. Okay, it's like, oh, I should be in a relationship right now, or it's like you always get these guys who are who feel guilty about not following the life plan that women would have for them. And I kind of lock horns with tradcons about this, because there's a lot, especially if you watch like PragerU videos or some shit like that, where it's like, they're like, well, you know, men need to man up and they need to be ready for a wife and you know, to be a husband and a wife and follow this life plan. And, you know, for women who follow their careers and want to be these careerist women, and they happen to be like 30 years old and they haven't done anything to really establish themselves as, you know, being a mother or whatever. And we don't give them shit, but we give that guy, we say he's extending his adolescence. We say that guy is juvenile for not following the life plan. Syndrome. Yeah, and when that shit gets into your head, that's when you start self-policing. You start doubting yourself, because
it's been. They call me Peter Pan. I think it's great.
Yeah. The thing is, like, when you
I fight Captain Hook. I'm with the Lost Boys.
God, I hate to. My cousin, he's got, and I think he might have started things a little bit late, but my cousin is an architect, and he is like almost a celebrity architect. The guy's got money coming out of his ass. He didn't start his personal life until he got to be about 36 years old, 37 years old. And if I say somebody did it right, this is the guy that did it right, because he didn't really start looking for a wife until he would, because being an architect and doing what he's done, he wanted to establish himself in his career. He wanted to focus on himself. He wanted to work on his own, you know, he was just very industrious. Let's just say that. I'm not going to call him an entrepreneur, because he wasn't really an entrepreneur, but kind of became one by default. And then decided that right around 36, he's going to say, okay, you know what? I want to have kids. This is what I want next for my life. And he was in a position already, of course, because, you know, guy wasn't, you know, not too bad looking guy. And also, you know, had his shit together, and he knew he could be selective, and he was selective. And now, you know, I think maybe he had his kids a little bit too late, because, you know, here I am at 50 and my daughter's 20, and he's got kids that are 6 and 7 right now. So to me, that seems kind of weird, but maybe it's not weird for you. But when you get to be 36 years old and you're hitting your sexual market value stride, that's when I think that's when you should probably start thinking about, well, what do I want to do? You know, how do I want to, how do I want to leave my legacy? How do I want to build myself up? And don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel bad about being selective. That's what they want. That's what the blue pill wants you to think. They want you to be ignorant. It wants you to be like available to a woman who's just getting out of her party years, and you're a utility. Don't be a fucking utility for, you know, don't be a blue pill utility for a woman just because you think that it is your duty as a man to do so. Your duty is to yourself. Your commitment should be to yourself at this point.
And then just
Right,
tell them what
so,
they want to hear. Yeah, I know. I'm looking for the
yeah.
right one. Yeah, we'll get there. They
Right.
just want the validation.
Let me stop you right here. We're at the top of the hour, so I just want to say, if you haven't done so already, smash the like button and hit that little bell down there too, so that you get these notifications. And that's going to be really important this week, because we're going to be doing some special shit this week for the 21 convention. So if you didn't pick us up at the beginning of the show, I'll tell you again, 21 convention is starting this week. It will be starting on Thursday, but we're going to have a lot of pregame stuff going on. Check this feed, check my feed, check Donovan's feed, check everybody's feed. But make sure that you hit that little bell, because then you'll get notified when we're going on, when we're doing stuff. Also, you might want to check my my personal YouTube channel, which I'm actually going to launch as of this week, just for the convention. Lots of cool things going on. So go ahead and do that. I kind of want to drag us back into our topic here a little bit. One of the things that I wanted to get into here is just how, and maybe this is actually a good segue. One of the things that I think that a lot of guys don't really understand when it comes to unplugging themselves from that old blue pill matrix is that there's a really strong desire to want all of those blue pill ideals to be true. They want Disney dreams to come true. They want to be able to, they want to say, well, I got all this red pill knowledge now, so great. Now I can go get the girl of my dreams, and I can go live out these blue pill fantasies that I had back in the day, because now I finally figured out, I've finally got the cheat codes to the game, and I can do that. Well, the problem is that the cheat codes to the game, you're not playing the same game anymore. And I think that one of the things that we see when it comes to guys right now, there's guys who are red pill aware, who understand what I'm talking about, and they've made that transition. They've crossed what I call the abyss. Then you've got the guys who I call Vichy males. Vichy males are the guy, what you call it, Michael Kimmel. Michael Kimmel from Stony Brook is a Vichy male, and he is getting everything that he deserves right now. And I wanted to get into that guy too. So it's whenever I say Vichy male, I'm making that reference because I'm kind of stealing that from World War II, because it was the Vichy the Vichy French were the ones who allied with the Nazis back then. It's getting in bed with your enemy. And that's, so whenever I say Vichy male, I'm talking about male feminists. I'm talking about men who are still, militantly blue pill and believe that their blue pill game should center on identifying with the feminine. And then when we talk about white knights, the thing about white knights is the white knights can also, you can technically be red pill aware and still white knight and not realize that you're actually white knighting. But white knighting is really a form of identifying with women. I think a lot of guys in their blue pill upbringing, they believe that the more they identify with the feminine, because they've always been told this, right? We're always told, if you just get inside a woman's head, or if you're sensitive to her needs, or if it's open communication, if you are if you identify with the feminine, if you quote unquote get in touch with your feminine side, then that's going to endear you to women. These are the guys who kind of get online and want to pretty much promote a blue pill position, but they don't. Sometimes they don't really realize that that's what they're doing. And then you've got purple pill hacks. Purple pill hacks are the guys that kind of have become red pill, but then they want to reinsert themselves back into the matrix. These guys are like Cypher. Okay, these are the guys who think that they can go back to this blue pill ignorance, or they just simply put their hands over their ears and just like no, I don't want to hear about it. People think that if I say somebody is purple pill, that I'm trying to be like that's an invective, like I'm trying to a pejorative, right? I don't mean that. I mean that when I say purple pill, I say these are these guys who have switched over and become red pill aware, and they want to go back. They want to still pick and pull the things that they like out of the blue pill paradigm that they were taught for a very long time, and they want to drag it over. And they want to be able to say, well, the red pill really isn't about the red pill. It's about pleasing a woman. It's about falling in line with her life plan. It's about it's all about her. And so when I see guys who are making a living off of that, that's when I have to sort of draw the line. So when I talk about purple pill guys, I'm talking about guys like Matt Hussey, Evan Mark Katz, Mark Manson, Pat Stedman's a really great example of this as well.
Blue pill guy. He ain't purple pill at all.
And these guys are the dudes. Yeah, most of them are actually blue pill, but these are the guys who are making a living right now as quote unquote life coaches. And if you could look at guys like Mark Manson, who used to be, he had models out for a while, and people like want to, use his book as something that's an example of red pill thought. Well, yes and no. There's parts of it I might say were kind of lean red pill, but for the most part, I would say a lot of his shit is blue pill, and he's gone completely purple pill ever since he's been married. And that's one of the things I think that happens with these guys. Like Tucker Max is another example of purple pill. You've got a guy who was red pill aware, understood what was going on, understood, intersexual dynamics very, very well, knocked up a girlfriend. She says, you're marrying me and we're going to have this kid together. And now he changes his tune. And now he has to, once what we were talking about before, he has to become his own brand. And that brand had to evolve, because if it didn't evolve, he wasn't going to make any money. Same thing with Mark Manson. Mark Manson got married. His message changed. You can look at these guys, and I don't want to point fingers right now, but there's some guys in the sphere right now that I think when they get into a long-term relationship, that's when they can't reconcile a lot of the truths that they've known about in the red pill with, reconcile it with the good feelings that they're getting from their girlfriends. And they don't understand, they don't want to live that way. They don't want to, I think that they think that it's negative, and it's not necessarily negative. It just goes against what that old blue pill paradigm was. And so they've got to find ways to rewrite it. They've got to make the red pill into something that sort of gels with their relationship. Now, people are going to say, well, Rollo, don't you do that too? Don't you do that with your wife? I've been married for 22 years. Don't you do that as well? Well, let's look at this. I've written 3 books, one of which people consider the Bible of the manosphere right now, all of which, and pretty much everything that I have written in the manosphere, I have done as a married man. So, if you're gonna hit me for that, then go back and read my work, and then tell me that I'm purple pill. Tell me that, okay? Because show me where it is, and I'm open to that kind of shit. We were talking earlier about free speech and all this other shit. That's a thing about my own work and the Red Man Group, which is when I'm talking to Rich and I'm talking to Anthony, I'm saying we need to prioritize being able to talk about stuff, to have an open marketplace of ideas, to have an open discourse, because we fall into shit like exactly what happened at the Red Pill subreddit. Yeah. And so if you, and that's the thing is, we have had this show open. We've had phone lines at least since Donovan became a regular. And I want to say we've probably had it for like 4 or 5 months now. And, I catch criticism from some of these guys, like Evan Mark Katz has been a pain in my ass for a long time. Pat Stedman has been a pain in my ass for a long time. And it's like, I have a completely unmoderated comment section. Not once has any of these guys ever come onto my comment section and say, I disagree with that, and let's talk about that. None of them have ever done that. We have had open phone lines on this show for as long as Donovan has been a part of it. Not once has one of these sons of bitches called in. And not once has one of these with the exception of Kitten Holiday, we have not had any of these If you have a disagreement with anything that we're saying, phone lines are fucking open. Here's the number. Go call in. Okay, if you want to do it in the chat, fine. I don't even see the shit in the chat. And when people want to challenge me, that's fine. I want that challenge, but you don't.
But here's the thing. When and I call them chat gangsters, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to disagree with Rollo here. Don't debate us in the chat. Debate us on the phone lines. Because again, when you debate someone in chat or on social media, that's not really debate, because you have time to think of a clever response. You could Google stuff, whatever. But when you're voice to voice in real time, that's where the rubber meets the road. This is why I tell people, hey, shut the hell up in the comment section and give me, well, I disagree, Donovan. Okay, that's fine. You can say your piece. But if I disagree with you and then you want to keep going back and forth with me on chat, I'm going to ban you until you call in. I'll also say this. One of the most difficult things about being red pill aware is, and I'm going to ban this Rollo fucking Tomasi again.
I just did.
This guy, anyway, one of the toughest things about being red pill aware. And listen, the guy who keeps making Rollo Tomasi accounts, we're going to keep banning you. Like, we're not going to get tired of that. So continue to waste your time there.
Yeah, if you're in the chat, I'm not Rollo Tomasi in the
Right.
chat. I'm red.
So one of the most difficult things about being red pill aware is keeping your red pill edge within the construct of a long-term relationship. I started writing for Roosh, God almighty, back in 2013. I was not in a long-term relationship then. I am in a long-term relationship now. My message has not changed. Devin knows exactly who the fuck she's dealing with. She knows I'm Donovan Sharp. She's coming with me to the 21 convention. I'm not saying that it's easy to remain who you are in a long-term relationship. But again, and this is part of my 21 convention speech, that's the price you pay for having red pill awareness. And you said, Rollo, guys like the feelings and everything that comes with it in terms of being in a relationship. And those feelings are great, but those feelings will go away, dude, quicker than you can say cheat on me if you cease to be the man that she fell in love with. This is how it is. You can't go from being red pill to blue pill and have her and still expect her to respect you as a red pill or male. It does not matter. Dude, listen, man, Devin, dude, she tried my patience one time this week. I had to air her out. And listen, it sucked. It sucked. I hated having to do it. Yeah, she cried tears. But guess what? I don't like doing this stuff. But guess what? If I want to keep her respect, if I want to keep her on point, if I want to keep her in these goddamn heels that she's going to be wearing tonight when I beat the brakes off of her, then this is what's necessary. Being red pill aware is doing what's not easy to do. We hear it all the time. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. The same thing goes with red pill. You don't just take the red pill and all right, I'm good to go. Nah, man, this is a process. There is a residual cost of being red pill aware.
I think one of the problems I think that a lot of guys have is they get really wrapped up in their blue pill conditioning. And then when they get a shock to the system, like whenever they go through this kind of trauma that is necessary for them to switch over into a red pill paradigm or to become red pill aware, or even just to open their minds long enough so that they can hear what I'm saying or they can read what I'm talking about. I hate it. I hate the fact that it takes trauma to do that, but be that as it may, that's just what's going to have to happen. So what guys do is once they get past that, once they become red pill aware and they get past that trauma, that's when they start kind of like backsliding. That's when they kind of don't feel comfortable with all of the really harsh truths that the red pill brings to them. And so they want to climb back into that comfortable blue pill paradigm. They want to say, yeah, the red pill's true, but it's got a lot of anger. I constantly hear that from RSD guys. It's like, it's truthful anger. And it's like, no, it's truth. And how you deal with that, you can get angry about that. You can accept that. You can use that. You can also see, I always tell guys, I say, when you become red pill aware, there's a lot of opportunity there. Yes. Hey, I see a big super chat here. So go ahead and read that for me.
Yeah, it was from Matthew O'Keefe. The problem is chivalry. Dalrock says chivalry teaches us that women are more virtuous than men, and that it is noble and ennobling. Ennobling. Wasn't that a fake word?
Let me clear something up for you about chivalry. Chivalry had nothing to do with women in the 13th century.
Yeah, okay? You don't shoot a guy while he's on the 12th century.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like women like to say, well, what happened to chivalrous men? It's like, you're not even talking about chivalry. You're talking about courtly love. That's what you're talking about. Because there was a time, I always called chivalry, courtly love really, but chivalry, it was feminism 1.0. And now we're in feminism 2.0, which is just feminism. It's always been sort of this social control mechanism. And what it is like women of that time period saw what was going on with men, and they wanted to, they had this code of conduct. Really, if you look at the history of what chivalry was, it was the church that was trying to get these men to behave and to to coalesce under one banner under the Roman Catholic Church, so that they could use them for crusades and everything. But the thing is they had to have this code. And it's interesting when you look at this from a cultural perspective, because this code was similar to feudal societies in Japan, like the Bushido code was very similar to that. But there was no, well, you should respect women and open the door for women and milady this and milady that. It had nothing to do with that until courtly love got introduced into the chivalrous code. And so when you look at the history of that, you'll see that what women are really bitching about and complaining about today? Well, first of all, they want to have the old social contract apply to them while they're still empowered by the new social contract. So you don't get it you don't get it two ways, first of all. Right. And then second of all, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to chivalry, because chivalry had nothing to do with women until women decided to insert themselves into it. And that should be the lesson that you're really looking at, because that will show you how women insert themselves into social constructs and social conventions to fluidly, shift themselves into a position of power, into a position of covert power.
I gotta add to this: don't have this conversation with girls. Like, we're having it here.
Yes.
Dude, no, you'll never get anywhere.
Oh man, you know what? I was looking for show topics. That's a really good one. It's like, don't try. You can't intelligently get a woman into bed. You can't like intellect her into bed. You can't virtue her into bed. Okay, there's nothing arousing about anything I just said. Okay, so don't think that.
Don't even say it. Just act on it.
Yeah.
Really? The one thing I wanted to say too, Donovan, how you guys are talking about red pill as if it's the kind of thing that once you're there, you gotta fight the urge to get back because it's comfy. I don't have that same experience. Like, I've been this same lovable asshole for as long as I've been alive. I got some new tools in my belt, which is awesome. Man. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, the way it's described for a lot of people is as if it's a burden. You have to carry it and keep it in the back of your mind. It's like, yeah, you're the fucking prize, man. Act like it.
Listen, I agree. You are one of the lucky ones, man.
Yeah. Well, if she's gonna expect to be treated like a princess, then you should be treated like a fucking king. Right?
Yeah, listen, that's the whole thing. I'll treat you like a princess if you treat me like a god. But here's the thing. When girls are steady screaming chivalry, what they're really saying is that it is kind of a two-way street. But we're at a point now where you got to come first. They say, meet me halfway. Okay, I'll meet you halfway, but I need to see you there first. Like, I'm the prize to be won. It's up to you to prove yourself to me. This actually leads us to another super chat question that was asked a while back. This guy wants to know, and I forget what his name was. I think it was like a $2 or $5 super chat. He says, why do women say they're not sex objects if they have premium snaps, I guess Snapchats or whatever? I just wanted to hear the panel's opinion. So why is it that women say that they're not sex objects when
because some women fucking lie?
There you go. There you go. Right. There you go.
All right, so we're doing phone calls now. All right. Yeah. So much for that idea for the topic. We should have just done open phones. Let me just chime in here real quick. When women complain about being sex objects, there's a couple of things that guys need to understand. First off, women would rather be objectified than idealized. Okay? So and as long as it's by a guy whose attention is valuable, then they would rather that than have a blue pill guy come up to them and go, "You're so pretty," and idealize you and put you up on that pedestal. They don't want to be that. They would rather be they'd rather be associated with a dominant alpha man who knows he is valuable, and a woman realizes where he is. Like we were just talking about SMV ratios, that he is at least that point above, hopefully 2 points above her, for her to have to in any way appreciate him, and for him to get any kind of admiration from her. The other thing is that when we're talking about sexual objectification, what guys and what women hate to here's a red pill truth for you. One of the things that happens is when a man sees a woman, a naked woman, or like a half-dressed woman, like you see a Playboy, you don't have to be a naked woman. It could be just a really hot chick in a bikini or something like that. The part of our brains that is associated with tool use is stimulated because of that. And so what that is that's our evolutionary firmware trying to solve a reproductive problem, because men are problem solvers. And so at the root level, our brains are going, women say, "You only see me as parts." Yes, you're 100% right. We see you as parts because we're assessing sexual availability, we're assessing fertility, we're assessing all of this stuff that is very important to the reproductive problem that we are trying to fucking solve. So when you complain about being objects, yes, you are objects. And it takes men to say, "Oh, okay, well, back up off." And that's the self-control. And that's the side of us where we have to learn to sort of keep our animal side controlled. And, we can't just be walking around with hard-ons all the time. Okay. And we don't do that. And I don't think women really appreciate the fact that men are constantly under their own sexual control, whereas women are happy to.
You're not.
Yeah, exactly. And so there is a part of our brains that will automatically objectify women. That's the one part. The other part is that women commodify themselves as sexual objects.
Of course they do, because they know that's their end.
If you don't want to be treated as a sexual object, stop making yourself a sexual object.
But here's why they do, because that's their end. Women can say whatever they want, dude, right? They can say, well, I want a man to... No, you know that we as men are visual creatures. Listen, you could be the world's most feminine woman. You could be so traditional. You might make the world's greatest mother. Sweetheart, if I don't want to stick my dick in you, then I'm not interested. I'm not going to find out about all of these wonderful things. Dudes aren't jerking off to your college degree. Dudes aren't going to www.porn.com and looking for the section, let's jerk off to women's college degrees. No, we like tits, we like nice bodies, we like beautiful women. I like blonde hair, we like stripper heels. That's what we want. And the reason why we know, and women know that's what we want, because they advertise themselves as such. So you can't sit here and say, well, I don't want to be looked at as a sex object, and then advertise yourself as a sex object, and then be mad that I look at you as a sex object. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the phone lines.
We lost George. Sorry, George.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
We got a quick super chat here. I'll jump on that one quick. Guys, do your LTRs meet all of your sexual needs, or do you have to groom them to share you? First off, groomed is kind of like a charged word. I wouldn't use that.
Yeah.
But
you can't say that on YouTube.
But a little bit of both. I mean, she knows how to make. She knows and wants to make me happy, and if I have preferences, I let her know. Well, but you have to be worth it.
There has to be a basic genuine desire first before you can even have any of that. There has to be a want. There has to be like, I can't wait to get home and sex you up. There has to be that first.
It's not like a dick is some magical device they don't know how to work, though. I mean,
yeah, no, they know how to work. Trust and believe, they know how to work the D. You already know that.
It's a little bit of both, but if I had to prioritize one being the most important, I would say genuine desire is the most important.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like what's blowjob? 10% technique, 90% enthusiasm.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
That's the one part of enthusiastic consent I do agree with.
Listen, real quick before we get to the callers.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is just me, but don't get me wrong, blowjobs feel great, but I'm like it is sort of transitioned into it's sort of transitioned into I like the way it looks almost as much, if not more, than I like the way it feels. Mm-hmm. Because one part, like for me, part of getting fellatio, I guess to clean it up for YouTube, is of course the way it feels. But the other part, like there is nothing more gratifying than watching a woman on her knees, oh God, pleasuring you, right? I don't know.
Dude, the mirror on the other side makes it.
Oh, dude. Oh my God, dude. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're giving me ideas. Let's go to the phone.
Bring one.
Taken off of YouTube. Area code 816. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hello, is this me? Just want to make sure.
You got it.
Yep, me.
Hi, my name is Matt, and I have a question regarding red pill parenting, if you guys are up for it.
Yeah, that's Rollo. Good, you got it.
Okay, so here's the dilemma / brainstorm that I had just yesterday. The school system, as it stands right now, is all based around building concepts. You take one concept, you build that towards another. Abstract thinking. Problem is that abstract thinking is primarily masculine dominated. How would I train my daughter to think more abstractly when that is not biologically pre-programmed into her? I'm trying to keep her as feminine as possible. She loves wearing heels. She loves wearing dresses. She loves talking with people. She loves telling stories about stuff that mean absolutely nothing. But in order for her to at least have some type of education to be able to survive out in the real world, which is what I should be doing as a good parent and as a good dad, how can I get her to get through the school system knowing that the entire school system is still trying to I'm actually pulled her out of the public schools, and now I'm starting to homeschool her. Mm-hmm. But even at homeschooling, it's still abstract thinking driven.
Yes.
How do I go about this? I mean, I know it's a big picture question, and I'm probably missing a bunch of trees for that forest, but I'm really at a roadblock here, and I don't know where to go or what to start doing or how to start looking at this.
How old is your daughter?
11.
11 years old. Okay. Wow. Okay. So she's just about tweens. Okay, first off, you need to understand the basics.
The ugly puberty thing too. So
yeah, it's coming. You have to understand the basics of child psychology, and I hate to lay all this heavy shit on you, but when it comes to abstract thought, I mean, it's not that it's not that boys and like only boys can think abstractly. No, girls think abstractly as well. It's just that they prioritize different things than boys are going to. Remember that boys are going to be more object oriented. They're going to be more interested in things. Girls have a more interest in people and persons. So understand where she's going to apply that abstract thought to. Okay. So it's not that she's not going to have, she's not going to be thinking abstractly. It's just that she is going to prioritize it, and she's going to direct it in a way that that her mental firmware is going to set her. That my daughter is 20 years old, and she's always been very girly. And I always tell guys this: if you have a daughter, don't try to turn her into your son. Too many guys do this because they think that it's their like moral imperative to teach their girl to be the next, female president, or she's got to be I can't wait till she can go up and challenge the world and be better than any other guy. And I'm going to put her in football because I think she could play football with just as well as the guys can. Or I think I'm going to put her in boxing because I think that she can do that, And so what you need to understand is don't try to treat her as a son. It doesn't sound like you are. She's girly, and go with that. Have you read my third book, Positive Masculinity?
not yet.
Okay. There's an entire section I dedicated in there. It's actually, you won't find it on my blog. There's an entire section dedicated to red pill fathers raising daughters. So I'm going to point you in that direction right there. The other thing is that I think what you're really worried about is not so much abstract thinking as it is worrying about what I call the village's influence on her. And that's where the desire to homeschool her is coming from. And I agree. I 100% agree. And I can't say that I always did, because I used to think that homeschooling was just for like super fundamentalist religious people who wanted to pull their kids out because they didn't want them to learn about evolution. And now I'm kind of gone. I've done a 180 on that, because I think that I understand the impulse and the reason that guys want to do this now, because they don't want to have their children brought up by the village. So even if you did that, but even if you pulled her out of that environment, you're still going to have to deal with the village in other ways. You're going to have to deal with it in popular culture, music, her friends' mothers. There's all of these social connections where that village influence is going to come back in, and it's like you can insulate her from that, or you can try to insulate her from that, or you can teach her how to deal with that, and you can teach her to be proud of being a girl and be proud of feeling feminine and being a girly girl, and encourage those things. Also, I think the most important thing for any red pill parent, whether you have a daughter or a son, is to model those behaviors as a red pill man, and to deal with, I don't know if you're a single parent or not, but if you have a wife, how your interaction with your wife is on a daily basis. Remember, kids don't learn what you tell them, they learn what you do. So if you're out there and you have this relationship with your wife, like I would like to say it's a unique relationship with my wife, but one of the reasons that my daughter is who she is, and she's very smart, very beautiful, very girly, pageant winner. She's that girl. She's a very, she's model quality, good looking girl. But also very feminine. And then the guys that she tends to go for are guys who are more alpha men. They're more, and I don't mean alpha as in asshole, jerk offs. I mean like guys who have their shit together, who are going places. And I want to say, well, geez, I at least in some way have influenced those decisions, or the way that she makes those decisions. And if I'm going to be the proud parent, here's where I'm going to be the proud parent. I'm going to say she looks for guys that are not too dissimilar from myself. So being that model, and you always say you got to be a positive role model. Well, yeah, okay, but you also have to be a gender role model, and I think that is probably the most important side of things. But get my book, get, and I hate to do selfless shame, shameless promotions here, but yeah, go and get the third book. There is an entire, well, actually the first quarter to third of that book is dedicated to red pill parenting.
Okay, very good. Let's try to mow through these calls. I got another 20 minutes.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Devin's getting her hair done, and I got to be there to pay, so that's how it goes.
Maintenance.
Well, hey, And for those of you guys, Donovan's a simp. He gets this woman's hair done. No, this is.
I never said that.
No, I mean, I'm not saying
I never said that.
guys, I know how guys are. She should pay for it. No. If you want your woman to look a certain way, then guess what? You got to finance that. That's all it is. This again is part of the red pill.
Thanks for that $2 super chat. Fix them.
Whatever. Eric 321, you're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead. Area code 321, you're on live with the Red Man.
And mute your sound.
Area code 321, are you there? Going once. Going twice. And okay, let's go back to the phone line. I got someone who is calling from an unrecognized number. If I just unmuted you, you were on live with the Red Man Group. Bud.
Hey, it's Jonathan from
Jonathan from
Hey.
What's up, brother?
Please, Jonathan, get us back on topic.
Definitely not gonna happen.
What's
Give me an
that?
excuse to rant on Stedman. Come on.
Come on, here you go. Go for it. Here's your chance. Rat on Stedman and rat on whatever his fucking name is now.
Dude, Pat Stedman posted a video of him crying after Donald Trump got elected. That's all I've got to say.
Really?
Wait, what? That's better than his I Love Woman post.
You need to email me that link. I need to see that.
Tears of joy, at least.
And also his, oh my God, the guy is just so purple pill, and he's such a snake oil salesman in regards to what you said of like having, which I don't believe he's that red pill. I mean, he's about as skinny as a chopstick, and he looks about as threatening as, I don't know, like a fucking rabbit. But
Did you see that guy who was talking about how his wife was leaving him and he didn't know what was going on, and Stedman gave him that pablum advice?
No, I just look at Pat Stedman and laugh, and I just want to just double down on what Rollo was saying. Just
I'm just gonna read this out real quick here. This is some dating advice from Stedman. He says, yes, women change their dating preferences in their late 20s and 30s. No, this does not necessarily mean does not necessarily have to do with the wall. Many go through the single life and tire of it. They want something more real. If you experience this, why wouldn't they? Yes, I mean, very, very pro-feminine. I mean, okay, understand. You know, I can't believe I didn't mention this. One of the reasons that I wanted to do the Red Man Group, and certainly the Red Man Group Live at the 21 convention, is sort of a counterpoint to organizations like the Good Man Project. And if you haven't seen the Good Man Project, don't eat before you do. Okay. The other thing is there's another group of guys called Man Enough. And if you look at these guys, they are very gender confused, very gender loathing men who really want to get, like I was saying before, want to get in on that feminine identity. They want to sympathize and empathize more with the feminine constantly. And as a result, what they do is they just end up making themselves even that much bigger blue pill betas. And as a result of all of this stuff, and if you go and you look at like guys like Stedman, you like I was just reading that tweet of his, they want to reinsert themselves back in the matrix. They see the writing on the wall, or maybe they don't. Maybe some of them don't. I forget which one of the guys on the Man Enough project is. He's got a lot of talks. He's this pretty boy kind of guy, just this side of maybe being gay, and his whole shtick is, I don't understand masculinity. I can never be a man. I could never, like, what was that?
Like a bad Seinfeld sketch.
Yeah, like that Bonobos commercial, right? They just can't. Yeah, they just can't get it. They just don't understand.
Or what?
Yeah, and it's like, well, what that is you are the result of a village, a blue pill conditioning that has taught you from a very early age that, first of all, you should hate masculinity. And second of all, even if you don't hate masculinity, you should be confused by it. You should be, it's subjective, it's not objective. And anything that has to do with like a conventionally learned masculinity, they think that is toxic. Anything that is like masculine is bullying, or it's hazing, or it's something negative. Is that they can call it toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is just whatever parts of regular, conventional masculinity that don't serve the feminine imperative.
Yeah, masculinity is being able to get a woman's most valuable commodity for little to nothing.
Right.
You figured out how to get easy sex out of women when you otherwise would have to.
Well, I tell you, I go through a lot of I go to a lot of trouble to help guys unplug. I have guys constantly. I was just talking with Pat Campbell yesterday about the men who have told him that my work has helped save their lives. And so when I see purple pill guys trying to plug men back into the fucking matrix, and maybe formerly suicidal guys back into that, that's where I got to draw the line, and that's where I got to say fuck you. And if you want to call in and you want to tell me why I'm wrong, please tell me why I'm wrong. That's fine. You want to say, oh, you have your own cult or you have some ideological purity test. Bullshit. Lines are open. Comment sections on Rational Mail have always been open and unmoderated. You've never said jack shit. So all I can say is you're just trying to ride my jock. That's what you're doing.
All right, let's go back to the phone line.
Yeah, basically, I always think just.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that if you look at a dating coach and he doesn't intimidate you, you think you could beat him in a fight, or he looks borderline gay, don't trust him.
There it is.
That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks, John.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 401. Wait a minute. There it is. Area code 401. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Hey. This is more of a question for Rollo. I know you did a blog post on that called Kill the Beta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of trouble doing that.
Everybody does.
My whole thing is I do that whole plate spinning thing. I do that. Eventually, I find one that I kind of like. And then that blue pill guy that I've been trying to push down is just coming up like, here's Prince Charming.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of fuck everything up.
Yeah, that's a common, actually very common. How long have you been? Well, first of all, how old are you?
22.
22. Okay. Yeah.
I'll give it some practice.
See, he's kind of coming out of this phase, what I call the break phase. It's like when men are about 18 to 22, they kind of are still trapped in that idealism that their teenage years has taught them, particularly if you're blue pill and you're really invested in monogamy, or you think a lot of guys who are real, I hate to pick on religious guys, but a lot of religious guys get into this where it's like they feel like the only valid way for them to interact with women is basically vetting a woman for marriage, and so their game is sort of colored and defined by that. It doesn't sound like that's your problem, though. It sounds like you're spinning plates, and then you get to that one where your dream girl, and your dream girl. Then what happens is you think that you have to act in a different way, and maybe you can correct me on this or not, but I think that when guys get into this situation, what they do is they feel like they have to be somebody else, or they think that the red pill or applying game that they've learned, they think that that's an act, and it's not like part of who they are. And so once they get into a more solid relationship with the girl who is their quote unquote dream girl, which is usually their idealized woman, and at 22, that idealization is sometimes dangerous. What they do is they feel like they got to be somebody. They got to let the act drop. They got to say, okay, well, now I can let my hair down, or now I can, walk around the house in my underwear, I don't have to be that guy anymore. I don't have to be the guy that impressed her. And so what happens is you're kind of insulting a woman's hypergamy, because what happens is she sees who you are when you're gaming her. She sees who you are, who you've presented yourself to be as that perception. And then it's like you saying, but I'm really not like that. I'm really a nice guy, and I'm really more like this. And you think that that's going to be endearing to her, but what it is it, and in some cases it might be, depending on where a woman is sort of in her cycle, or where she is in her lifetime. But women don't look for that nice guy until they get to be about 30, when they need to cash in their chips. So
longer than that.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would say, you want to say, how do I kill the beta? Well, you need to just keep going. You need to spin more plates. Practice. You need to get out there more. Don't consider monogamy until you get to be about 30 years old. Don't look for a girlfriend. Just look for girlfriends. Was that in the Breakfast Club? Are all these girls your girlfriend? No, some of them are my girlfriend. Some of them I just consider.
I'd like to add something to that. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Much better now.
Yeah. I'm in the garage right now. I remember when I first started listening to conspiracy theorists, and I'm always game for a good conspiracy theory. And I'll never forget the quickest way to discredit a conspiracy theorist is to call him a tinfoil hat kind of guy. And that's just to discredit and put them down, because they were the first ones that told me, like the first time you ever heard anyone say, everything that you were ever taught about XYZ was wrong. And you're like, well, how can that be? And I agree with Rollo. I'm not going to say I got red-pilled about the government. I'm not going to say I got red-pilled about politics, red-pilled about money. I do believe the red pill is about intersexual relationships. I will use the word woke or aware when it comes to politics and wealth and that kind of thing. And I'll never forget the first time sitting in my doctor's office, and she says, okay, well, you haven't had a flu shot. And she's writing, like getting ready to tell the nurse to come give me a flu shot. And I'm not a flu shot kind of guy. And I said, no, I'm not interested in a vaccination. And it was like, you're disagreeing with me? And my entire life, whenever I would mention a symptom in the doctor, instantly, it was almost instinctive, knee-jerk on their part to write a script. It wasn't like, because I'll never forget when Dr. Andrew Weil first came on the scene. And he said, have you thought of meditation? Have you thought of deep breathing to lower blood pressure, to calm your, rather than writing a script for Xanax? And he's considered the father of integrative medicine. And everyone hated him. And he was like doing talks on public television, 30 years ago. He had the big white beard. He looked kind of odd. Now integrative medicine is mainstream. But 30 years ago, we thought it was crazy. And everything that you thought about yoga and deep breathing is wrong, because I find that I can take an actual meter and measure my stress level and oxygen saturation and watch my stress level go down by deep breathing. I can watch my blood sugar go down after exercise. And I started to experience the benefits of biofeedback, of listening to my body and listening to my instincts rather than the instinctual knee-jerk reaction of a doctor writing a script. So I apply that to intergender relationships in the sense that everything I was taught about food was wrong, because I did everything the right way. And because I did everything the right way, I ended up with type 2 diabetes, obese, high blood pressure. Now, gentlemen, I'm off of it. I'm jacked. I feel great. A year ago, I was extra large everything. Now I'm a medium everything. I got rid of 99% of my clothes. But the way that I got to that point was because I did everything the right way. I ate everything I was supposed to eat. Remember the food pyramid about, 20 years ago? The pyramid flipped upside down, remember? And then you were only supposed to eat like this much meat now. Before meat, remember the 3-section plate?
Yeah.
Okay. And the big part was meat, and then it was like potatoes and vegetables. And then they flipped it upside down and said, oh, no, your meat portion should only be like this.
It sounds like what you did was you did everything what you were supposedly taught to do the right way.
Exactly.
And now it's hey, George, hang on, hold that thought for 1 second.
Yeah,
Donovan, let's get one more call in before you have to go.
Yeah, area code 4. Yeah, because I got to run. Area code 424. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Good.
Hi, this is Doc. I'm 27. I'm a medical surgeon. I'm in SF, and just some general background. Throughout college, university time, I guess the longest I'd have a relationship was like 3 to 5 months. That's so I could, I get bored. To build the decorum, so I could, I guess, satiate my need for breast play. I don't know if you know what it is, but autoerotic asphyxiation, and all that stuff. my main question is, what are some pitfalls that high-functioning men fall into when they're looking for long-term relationships? At the moment, I'm not looking for anything. I'm 27, looking for something after I finish my residency program, which is like, I don't know, 34, 35. So yeah, what are some main pitfalls that high-functioning people fall into?
Wait, you said what are some of the pitfalls that high-functioning people fall into when looking for?
Yeah. Like for example, I have 1 day out of 7 that I get off. Even that, because I have passive income that I have to look out for and everything. So with the time restrictions and how much free time I have, I see many doctors in my category. They usually just I guess get with other doctors, other girls. They're not as hypergamous because they don't have the looks department, but they're intellectual and
all right. Listen. Stop right there. Go ahead. Intellectual doesn't equal attractive. Let's get off of that. Just to put my 2 cents in here quickly, I think where high functioning men go wrong when they're looking for long-term relationships is they're looking for their equal. Right? Like they're looking for, okay, well, I'm a high functioning man, so I need to get a high functioning woman. Nothing could be further from the truth. Think about the typical stereotype between the CEO of a Fortune 500 company fucking a secretary. That's the perfect dynamic. His value is much higher than hers, financially and otherwise. He is constantly telling her what to do. She works under him. That's why that works. If you're you're a surgeon, you've got another passive income. You don't need to find a woman who's an entrepreneur. You don't need to date another surgeon. You don't even need to date another nurse. You need to look for a woman who is willing to submit to a guy like you. Listen, I'm a surgeon, right? Like I make 6 figures plus I have a passive income. You are going to, and again, this takes game. But and here's something else that you need to understand. The more money, resources, influence, etc., a woman acquires, the further she shrinks her pool of potential suitors. And it's not consciously, it's subconsciously. Because a woman who has enough status is not, just like Rollo says, she's looking for someone who is equal or greater than her status. So if a woman is a senior partner at a law firm, she's not dating the junior partner. She's not going to marry the junior partner. She's definitely not going to date the janitor. She might fuck the janitor on the side if he looks good enough, but she's not going to be seen in public with anyone whose value is not perceived to be greater than hers. So the Sheryl Sandbergs of the world, I want a boss bitch. I want a CEO of a Fortune 500. I want to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Unfortunately for those women, the only men that are going to be attractive to them are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. But guess what? Their options have ran out because the CEOs of a Fortune 500 company, they're not looking for a woman who's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. They're looking for that secretary. So as a man, you need to understand that you don't need to look for your equal. If you're looking for a woman who is your equal, she has lost all femininity. And the reason she's lost all femininity is because she is your equal. In order to be a senior partner, a CEO, a surgeon, you have to display masculine tendencies all day, every day. And at some point along the line, these women forget how to be women. Don't go for a woman who is battle hardened, who has an education, who's doing a residency. No, go for a woman who is at least in short term untainted by success. You don't need a super successful woman. You need a beautiful woman who's submissive and feminine. That's it.
Yes.
What was your question again?
I was going to say.
Yeah, he wants to know what pitfalls that men like him.
Leading with your fucking wallet.
Yeah.
The girls that want your wallet will be attracted to you when you're showing off your wallet.
Well, I
think you drive a garbage truck.
One of the things that guys like this have to understand, if you get into this idea of I got to find my girlfriend or I got to find my dream girl, I've got to find my monogamous, pairing, don't get into that position. Date a lot of women. And then in dating a lot of women, you get more experience with a lot of women and you understand a little bit more about how they think. I mean, people say, well, that's, everybody's different. Yeah, everybody's different. But you know what? There's a lot of commonalities between women and there is a female nature and you need to be a lot more aware of that. And the reason I say that is because it sounds to me like you are sort of rooting yourself in status, money, that side of things. Instead of understanding that's attraction, okay, but you're not rooting yourself in the arousal side of things because it's alpha fucks and beta bucks, okay. Oh, hey, we got Ed instead of Oh man, now we're gonna have to go over.
All right, guys, I got to get out of here.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, we will see you. If I don't see you then, I will see you at the convention, man.
And Ed, I don't mean to sound insensitive, but all I can see is like you smiling right now. Very dark.
Yeah.
We got Ed Lattimore, ladies and gentlemen. This is great. Guest starring. Yeah, I'm glad we're starting to get some of the people from the 21 convention are showing up. This is great, man. Thanks for coming on. Guest starring. Yeah, I'm glad we're starting to get some of the people from the 21 convention are showing up. What does that mean? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, no problem. You know, I'm actually meaning to switch my whole setup around because there's bright ass light behind me. Hey, no problem. You know, I'm actually meaning to switch my.
I think you're watching the replay right now.
I am.
Yeah, I figured you might be. Hey, what are you gonna? Let's just give you a quick 5 minutes here. What are you going to be talking about at the 21 convention?
Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So fixed. All right, when I'm talking about the 21 convention, I want to talk about guys, or rather, my speech is how to be red pill in the blue pill world.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of us, when we first wake up, the first thing we want to do is, well, we want to do a lot of things first. We want to go tell our friends what we know. We want to try and wake them up. But what do they say? You know, you can't force people to wake up, man, and that alienates a lot of us. And the reason I wanted to talk about that, I mean, I went through a really rough time. You know, I haven't talked really about my story, like what really pulled me out. But when it did, I was right around 23, and I wanted everyone to know, you know, the truth. People ain't interested in that shit, and I think a lot of guys don't get that. And I don't want guys to be lonely. I want you to be woke, but I don't want you to be lonely. And that's, for a lot of us, that ends up being one of the only options. Either you have no friends while you know, before you find guys like us. Or you shut up. And really, I mean, there's a way to shut up and let people know what's up, and there's a way to, you know, to be obnoxious. And I want guys to avoid the obnoxious route, at least before they get a new group of friends and a new social circle to kind of interact with.
That's great, man. That's great. So that's gonna be your talk. Are you excited? I mean, are you gonna do anything? Are you gonna do anything else?
No. You know, I was told to do to come up with one topic.
Mm-hmm.
I had two topics. I sent Anthony both of them. He said I really like this one a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one I'm going with. The other one I was going to discuss, I think you touched on it a few times, was the whole idea of like being in a relationship and keeping your red pill bearings.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna go that route, but Anthony, you know, he said I really like, you know, that one, because I just wanted some feedback.
Sure.
I don't think he would have cared too much about whichever one I chose.
Yeah.
But that's just, you know, where I was at, what I wanted to do, what I felt passionate about. You know how it is.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm so glad. I mean, we wanted to get you last year, but now it's like, now that we got you, we got AJ.
Yeah, last year, man, I was I think I pulled out in May, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't it was not 2 weeks before. I'd have suffered, man, but I was in a bad spot. We had just moved upstairs. That's it. It was a smaller apartment, and but it was a lot of work, and I had just started the last of my hardest classes of my degree. That shit was killing me, and I just said, you know, hopefully they'll have me back, but there's no way I'll be able to do the speech and the conference justice and survive, you know, with everything going on in my life. But I've been free since. I mean, I've been effectively free since the new year. But really, you know, I don't have any more obligations. I've just been crafting this thing, and I hope it turns out really well.
Right on.
Anyways, that was some sweet ink you got. I just saw you your pictures on
yeah,
that.
you can't see it because of this whole bright light in my dark skin. But yeah, I was thinking about something. Because this is my first tattoo. I'm 33, right? And I'm going to get a few more, but I always wanted to get ink that meant something. I didn't just want to go get like a fucking tribal tattoo or something, you know, that every bro has. Sorry if any of you bros have it, but you know, I didn't want to do something like that. So this is the first thing because I wanted to get the metric for space time beneath it, because I don't know if you were able to see on the image, but it's got an hourglass to symbolize time, and then it's got a celestial body orbiting. And then there's a whole metric for measuring space time. I wanted to throw that in there, but for now, this is good. You know, it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would, man. I couldn't. Somebody told me they fell asleep during theirs. I'm like, yeah, you full of shit, but
it hurts.
But it didn't hurt that much, man. But I didn't get it on like my rib or my lower back or some shit. Which also finally, now that I have a tattoo, look, there's some things you just know, right, intellectually, and then there's other things you really have an understanding of. We always say that one of those warning signs is like, you know, girls that have excessive tattoos, bruh. If a girl's got the pain tolerance and interest to sit there and get these repeatedly, no way, man. Like she tougher than me.
That's funny. I love your topic too. I'm just kind of looking at the chat here. I've got one guy here, Juan Cabrera, says, "How do I find people that align with my views, whether you red pill views, and become better versions of themselves?" The first place you can go is you can go to the 21 convention. That's one of the reasons that we do all of this. I think that this is becoming what I call the Red Pill Summit. It's finally becoming a Red Pill event that I kind of was hoping that it could be, and I'm just happy that Ed is in. I'm happy that if you go and you look at the list of speakers, you can find that on my website. Just a list of speakers right now. It's just incredible. And if there's something for everybody. I used to think that it was very like 21 convention was very purple pill, you know, the topic of this show really, but I thought that's what the way it was. But then, you know, Anthony decided that he was going to change things up. He had a little bit of a different experience in his life. He started reading my work and he decided that he wanted to change things up. And I think now we're finally getting to the point where it's becoming the red pill event that I was really hoping that it could be. So I'm glad.
And it's really, you know, what I like about the speaker list, the diversity, like you said, something for everybody. You know, people have this, and by people, I mean the mainstream. They have this negative perspective of the red pill, mainly because I tweeted a while ago, and you know, when I was under attack a year ago by from the feminists out, you know, speaking out in Denver, they dug it up, and I said a lot of shit, but the red pill is like teaching a slave how to read.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because the last time I think when I was on with you and Mark, forget what it is, Mark Baxter.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was great. I remember when you said, I actually wrote a post. I titled it "Teaching Slaves to Read" because of that.
Because you know, so they want to turn it into whatever. Since they can't literally shut us down, at least not yet. They want to try and make everyone have as negative of an opinion of the red pill as they possibly can. I will fully admit, you know, there's some bad seeds in every group, and the bad seeds get the most attention. But when you come to this thing, something like the 21, you know, you got guys like, you know, Tanner freaking, you know, and Hunter will be there. These guys are family men. You know, you got a long time married with a kid. You know, some guys that are straight bachelors. Some guys post divorce. There's something for everybody, but the common point is that we see the real image behind the illusion. You know, we're not falling for the thing, and we talk about it, and we share these ideas, we share these experiences, and most importantly, the biggest thing for me, you know, Twitter in general, but the red pill and all this and more has shown me that I'm not alone. You know, I don't have to be isolated. I'm not. There are other people out there like me. And not even exactly like me, but we share the similar idea and similar interest, and I can talk to them and be real and not have to, you know, kind of walk on eggshells. Like I can't tell you, I live in the Northeast, you know, and I don't care about politics whatsoever. However, if I did and I voted for Trump, do you know how isolated I would be? You couldn't say anything. People try and interject politics into every conversation, and I just look at them like, come on, man, you know who I am. And if you didn't know who I am, I'm going to remind you, I don't give a shit. And you know, I've had to mute people who I've grown up with, who I love dearly, because every other thing is this, that, or the other. And you can't have rational, and this is a perfect example. It just happens to be politics. 10 years ago, it was dating. Maybe in 5 years, hopefully it'll be like dietary stuff. But you can't have conversations with these people because they're so brainwashed that the mere fact that you think differently is a threat. For never mind that it has no real bearing on their life. For you to exist is a direct contradiction to their existence.
Right.
So therefore, you can't be a real person. You can't exist.
Right. It's because they're ego invested in that. And I've said this. I've said this on a few different occasions. But when I talk about ego investment, what I mean is that there are beliefs that men and women have that are integral to who they are, integral to their personalities. So a lot of times it's politics, a lot of times it's religion, but they are beliefs that a person has that helps sort of form what their ego is and what their personality is. So when you attack those beliefs, you're not just attacking the belief, you're attacking them, or they feel like as if it's an affront to them. And I get it, because it's one of the parts of my talk that I'm going to give at the 21 convention is dangerous times. Okay. And right now, I think we are in, we're kind of testing the waters here. People always say, well, those guys in the red pill, all they talk about is if it's not truthful anger, it's like all those guys want to do is just figure out how to get laid, or it's just these pickup artists, or it's like no, it's not just about that. Yeah. And people want to say, or like one of the things that I constantly get is like, guys will say, like, purple pill critics will say, well, all you ever do is just relate everything back to hypergamy. I'm like, yeah, because it relates to so much. You want to see what's going on with the Kavanaugh hearings? You want to see what's going on in your politics right now? It's because hypergamy has filtered over, has slipped over into so many different elements, or in so many different arenas. And when you see that, and you see the feminine imperative behind what's going on in our politics, what's going on in our religion, what's going on in just our social and our cultural narrative, when you see all of that, and you kind of see, that's why we say it's the red pill. That's why we say the world has been lifted from your eyes, and you can see what's going on, and you understand the latent purpose behind that. But in doing so, in being aware, you're threatening to them. I've said this before. I wrote a post called The Threat. I said a man who is, there's nothing more threatening, but yet simultaneously attractive, as a man who understands his own sexual market value, who understands where he's at and understands how the game is being played. Yeah. And that is a threat to them right now. So when people will say, oh, I can't believe what's going on with Kavanaugh. I can't believe what's going on with how can they possibly believe that this guy was 17 years old, was running rape gangs and running beer parties and everything.
I can't believe he gets mad when you're accusing him of having a rape gang.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
he was a real judge. He'd be able to take that on the chin.
I know. I was gonna say, but when you look at all this, I mean, and this is just the most glaring example right now. And you just look at the fact that how, something like Me Too has just snowballed into it's been weaponized. It's become something it was really designed to be, in my opinion. That when it doesn't have there's no statute of limitations. There's it's believe women. It's like this blanket statement, believe women. That's all it is. And what is motivating that is the feminine imperative. It's everything that we've been talking about for the last 15 years in the manosphere, in red pill conversations. This is exactly what we've been talking about. And so when people say it's just about pickup artists, it's just about learning to get laid. No, it is about so much more than that, and it threatens their worldview because of it. But anyways, all right, guys, we are 15 minutes over right now. I'm glad you guys are all here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anybody else want to get their last licks in here before we go off the stream here? George, thanks for coming along.
I'm gonna put a link in the chat for the guys so they can see.
Oh, hey, I got
all
Sam.
about
wait, one more. Wait, real quick. I got Sam Botta here. Sam Botta, excuse me. I gotta say your name right. Sam, I'm about to go off, but I wanted to get your 2 cents in here, and I just wanted to say thank you for reading my books, man.
Hey, thank you for having me read them. I think that most of the guys know, like right now, I'm in inpatient care again. And some people in my life say, well, it's Rollo Tomasi's books because every time I finish one of your books, I end up in the hospital for about a month. Which is has nothing to do with
and I want everybody to listen to this guy's voice, okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about. Now you understand why I got Sam to do my books.
But I'm really excited because this book. So I've had years of speech therapy since the hit and run accident, and the truth is that I did really well before in my work, but then my talent agent, after I was killed by the hit and run driver, everything dried up. And I wouldn't be here today talking to you. I wouldn't be alive anymore if it had not been for Rollo Tomasi having me narrate the first book. That is what covers the cost of my medical everything right now.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Sam, because I get a lot of criticism from Purple Pill guys and the guys we've been talking about here briefly today. And a lot of the critics will say, well, Rollo's just doing this for the money. Rollo has
Rollo paid off other shit.
Yeah,
It cracks me up when I see that. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean, back when I started writing, it was all about the message, and it still is to this day all about the message. And that's one of the reasons why I always encourage guys to buy the print version of my books, because I want people to hand this off to other people. I want the conversation to get going, and I make the least amount of money that I can possibly make on the print version of The Rational Male. But I always encourage that the most because I want people to have that. The next one I encourage is the audio version of it, because it's like I said, I split people don't know this. I split royalties on The Rational Male with Sam. And I did this because Sam has always been in a tough place. And first of all, I think he should be compensated. He's got the golden voice. Okay. So that was the next thing. But if I'm doing this all for the money, I'm the worst marketer and the worst brander in the world, because I'm happy to help you out. I'm glad you got your dog. I'm glad you got your dog, man.
Exactly. And wouldn't have been able to have Oliver without you and the Manosphere buying the audiobooks. And I'm excited because, as you know, I believe that what you have done is there must be more than 10,000 men that have stopped their suicides. I mean, now that I'm using my real name in my work for the first time in my life, I'm getting the messages just like you are. And it's exciting to see how you've changed so many lives.
Well, thank you, Sam. And it's really humbling. I mean, I've known Sam for a while now, but it's really humbling when I have guys come up to me and say, you saved my life. I was going to kill myself. I had a date set. I was trying to, get my life insurance arranged. I was trying to make it as inconvenient as I possibly could for my wife and the kids. And then he read The Rational Male and decided not to do that. And I still kind of get shivers down my spine when I get guys, one of the guys from the 21 convention actually came out last year just to tell me that. And I still get like goosebumps, I guess. Pat Campbell was talking about this yesterday too. When I was on his show yesterday, he was saying that the reason that, the main reason that he brings me on is it's a popular segment. I'm not going to lie, but is because I'm the only person that has been on his show that he can honestly say has saved the lives of at least two people that he knows. And I'm glad for that. And I just hope that it keeps going, and I'm happy to help you out too. And hopefully we'll be able to get the third book rocking and rolling by the time the convention starts. It's already with Audible, and if everything goes well, it should be out right around Wednesday or Thursday, I think. So, and thanks for helping me out, Sam. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you there. If you've got the, are you going to be able to make it? I don't know.
I believe so. I'm supposed to be discharged from here after over a month in the hospital. I'm supposed to be discharged on Tuesday of this week. And they're going to have some meetings, I think on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. So I am determined to be there this time.
Cool.
I missed last year because I had to have heart surgery because of, the hit and run accident did more than damage my brain. It damaged my heart. But again, thank you for buying the audiobook and for your support.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this thing up right now. Ed, thanks for coming on. Sam, you too, and actually everybody that is on the show right now is going to be at the 21 convention, so you can meet us all and ask us your questions in person. One final thing is just to remember that watch this stream, watch this space, because we're going to have some special event stuff going on the Monday, which is October 15th. We're going to do Red Man Live. And we're going to have a live in-person panel. We're going to do 3 shows. Each one's going to be about 90 minutes. Of course, we're going to spread them out a little bit, but again, that's going to be kind of a full-on studio experience. So everybody's going to be in the same room, and it's going to be great. We're going to be taking phone calls. And just to put that on your calendar. If you're not able to go, at least you'll be able. It'll almost seem like you're there, because I'm going to be doing some periscopes. I'm sure some of these other guys are going to be doing some live stuff too. So just watch. If you're a fan of the show, make sure that you watch this space. Get your notifications. Hit the like button. And anybody else got anything to say? 'Cause I'm about to wrap up here.
No, it's cool meeting a lot of these guys. I haven't met Ed before or Sam. So
yeah. And I was going to say, although George Bruno is not going to be speaking this year, he is going to be cutting hair this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to grow this in a little bit so I can have him trim it when I get out there. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by. And if you're in the chat, thanks for your participation as well. And we will see you next time I see you. It will be live at the 21 convention. All right, guys. Thanks.